Chapter 504. Two Possibilities. A.O. Lin's eyes were cold. First, he did take the essence with soul-severing pill, but he was saved. There are no hermits or heroes in the Jinglan mountain range. Only the two five-tailed snow foxes are proficient in medicine. The older one was killed by father, and the younger one is missing. If he was saved by the five-tailed snow fox, then he must know where it is. A.O. Lin analyzed. The scenes of the Jinglan mountain range were clearly imprinted in his mind. After all, it had only been a few months, so he naturally would not forget. The second possibility is even simpler. A.O. Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent, and his expression was cold. He has been lying to us from the beginning. Courting death. Search. A.O. Lin was not a kind person. Whether it was for his pride or for his own interests, he would not let Lin Feng off. Five-tailed snow fox. If I can get the five-tailed snow fox, Wang Tuo is nothing. The five-tailed snow fox was almost extinct on Nemo planet because it was too precious. Not only could a natural extreme in body accelerate the growth of a perfect body, but it also greatly increased one's in potential. Together with the perfect snow potential, it could be said that a five-tailed snow fox could turn an ordinary person into an expert. A warrior with above-average potential could transform into an expert. Compared to the temptation of the five-tailed snow fox, A.O. Lin's interest in the auction was greatly reduced. What a joke! Even the three treasures added together could not compare to a five-tailed snow fox. In the private hall 60, since he could not show himself, Lin Feng cultivated in seclusion. There was no need to waste 3 days. As for Lan Xinyan, she went to play again after a few hours of rest. To her, although she could only join one sect, it was naturally good to make more friends, especially those who were rich and respectable. All of them had frightening backgrounds. As for the choice of sect, Lan Xinyan listened to Lin Feng and was not in a hurry to make a decision. There was still time. It was not good for others to ride a donkey, to find a horse, but when it came to her, it was a good thing. Besides, she could see more clearly if the sect was sincere. They did not care about 2 or 3 days. Wait for the auction. It would not be too late to make a decision after it was over. Even Lin Feng himself had the same thought. Hiss, Lin Feng touched the Saint Crystal with both hands, and wisps of pure black energy flowed into his body from the Saint Crystal. They were absorbed by the dark demon Qi cloud and turned into pure, dark demon Saint Qi. The fifth stage. It was at the same level as the Alcade Holy Qi. With this steady improvement, the amount of Saint Crystals consumed was also steadily increasing. It was still within an acceptable range. When it reaches the 6th level, the Dark Devil Qi cloud will definitely gather its essence and condense it into the neonate star. Lin Feng was very certain about this point. Even the far inferior Thunder Dragon Saint Qi had reached the nestling star at the 6th level, not to mention the Dark Devil Saint Qi and Alcade Saint Qi. Even without the augmentation of a perfect body, he was confident that he could completely transform at the 6th firmament. Right now, it was even easier. Upgrade to the 6th level. After condensing a neonatal star, I should cultivate with the Heart Sutra, Lin Feng thought as he broke through his perfect body. With his perception greatly improved, the cultivation speed of the ominous dark art was now close to absorbing Saint Crystals, and with the help of the nestling star, it would definitely surpass the absorption speed of Saint Crystals. After all, the energy of Saint Crystals needed to be converted before being absorbed, and it only contained first-grade Saint Qi energy. Just as he was thinking, suddenly, Lin Feng revealed a smile in surprise. With the soul of the earth as the center, the energy level of the first meridian diagram increased by another level, and the martial soul was strengthened. The rich energy of the meridian diagram instantly fused into his entire body. His cells, bones, and skin transformed, and the soul of the Earth's energy cloud became more substantial and stable, gradually revealing its majesty. Qi cloud, 6th level. The in-terminating body is truly terrifying. Lin Feng was amazed. It was no wonder that a nirvana expert like A.O. Jianhui had shed all pretense of cordiality to obtain it. The little fox was now in the transformation period, which was the human fetal week, so its efficiency in absorbing heaven and earth energy was naturally high. It didn't suffer the transformation, lightning tribulation in vain. My current physical strength is comparable to the fetus Tuesday. Lin Feng could clearly feel the improvement of his body. The energy of the soul of the Earth's meridian diagram was quite powerful, and wisps of it fused into his body. If I use the 5th level of the titanium gray body, the tenfold increase can reach the fetus Friday. If I use the 6th level of the titanium gray body, I can reach the fetus week 7th level. With the current control of the 6th level of the True Dragon Saint Force and the strengthening of my body, I believe I can maintain the 6th level of the titanium gray body normally. Lin Feng stood up. He did not neglect the cultivation of his titanium gray body. After all, this was not Earth, and there was no endless supply of titanium for him to cultivate. Therefore, he could only seize every opportunity to fully recover his titanium, slowly accumulating it like dripping water penetrating a stone. "Ha!" Lin Feng's eyes lit up. With a thought, his body suddenly flashed with titanium-grade light, and the silver armor formed dense lines. Now, the activation speed of the 5th level was quite fast. "Pa! Pa!" Lin Feng clenched his fists, and the silver armor lines slowly shrank, seeping into his skin. The crystallized lines only made his body tremble a little, and then completely fused, revealing the silver lines on his body. 10 times increase in the blink of an eye. 20 times increase in strength. Lin Feng laughed. It's unexpectedly easy, although his body was still heavily burdened, and the titanium-grade elements were distributed to every corner of his body. The control of the True Dragon Saint Force was just right. A long battle, no problem. Lin Feng was very satisfied. He let out a light breath and adjusted his breathing. In that case, I can try the 7th level. Lin Feng would not be complacent. He knew very well that there was no limit to the increase in strength. To become stronger, he could not stop. Z. Lin Feng clenched his teeth, and the silver lines on his skin instantly shrank. The originally loose shape seemed to be squeezed. It was like a spring that was constantly pressing down. The originally empty body was suddenly filled with titanium-grade elements. From 20 times to 30 times. It shouldn't be difficult. Lin Feng's blood vessels bulged, and his consciousness condensed to the extreme, controlling every titanium-grade element. With the first 10 times increase, the second 10 times increase would undoubtedly be easier. Especially from the 5th level onwards, the 6th and 7th levels were at the same level. From the outside to the inside. Failure. After dispersing the titanium-grade elements, Lin Feng lay on the ground, his body soaked in sweat. Sure enough, it still won't work. Lin Feng smiled weakly, but he did not care because he did not think that he would succeed on his first try. In fact, the 7th level of the titanium-grade body was simpler than he had imagined. It was purely energy control and did not require too many complicated changes. With my 6th level of the True Dragon Saint Force, I can definitely achieve it. What I lack is only proficiency. Lin Feng was very clear. Right now, it was like comprehending the saber moves, but the saber technique realm was still lacking. All he needed was to practice again and again, and hone himself again and again. Slowly get used to it. 6th level of the Chi Cloud stage. 6th level of the titanium gray body. Lin Feng's eyes were bright, and he clenched his fists. Now his battle strength was comparable to his 7th level powerhouse. Chapter 505. Lin Feng cultivated peacefully. On one side was Thunderbolt Palace. On the other side was Nirvana Sect. People from the two sects were looking for him. Compared to A.O. Lin, Wang Lai was more popular. He soon found a breakthrough from Ta Xiaowei. Private Hall 60. It was bustling with noise and excitement. The arrival of the two siblings, Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang, made the room more lively. Brother Lin is so young and already has a perfect body. You will definitely become a Nirvana expert in the future. Zhu Liang spat and tried his best to recruit Lin Feng. If Brother Lin can join 100 Refining Knife Valley, I believe Master will accept Brother Lin as a disciple and use all the sect's resources to nurture you. Yes, Brother Lin. Since you hit it off so well with us, why don't we go together? Ji was like a blooming snowflake, beautiful and moving. Lin Feng smiled. He was indeed tempted, especially since Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang were very compatible with his temperament. You could tell how good a sect was just by looking at its disciples. The two siblings were free and easy, just like the sabers in their hands. 100 Refining Knife Valley was about the same. However, 100 Refining Knife Valley was ranked 98 in the 33 continents. It was far inferior to Thunderblade Sect, not to mention Severing Saber Manor and Thunderbolt Palace, ranked 7th in the top 10 sections. Seeing the siblings' expectant eyes, Lin Feng found it hard to refuse. To be honest, if 100 Refining Knife Valley was at the same level as Thunderblade Sect, he wouldn't care about the difference. But now, it was related to his future 3 years. 100 Refining Knife Valley's power in the Nirvana world was like Blue Moon Clan compared to Xiaoxiang's Sword Sect. The difference was too big. Zhu Liang was unyielding. Brother Lin, your age is close to my sister, and you are well matched in terms of social status. When the time comes, you can see each other day and night in the valley. Maybe you can get married. There will be a good story. Brother. Zhu Yu's snow-white face was burning as she pouted. No matter how natural and unrestrained she was still a budding girl. How could she not be embarrassed when talking about this? Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He didn't expect Zhu Liang to be so aggressive. He even brought up his sister to recruit him. Right now, he couldn't refuse, but he couldn't agree either. He was caught in dilemma. Just as he was feeling extremely awkward and was having a hard time making a decision, suddenly, a light knock came from the side door. Lin Feng was slightly startled. He stood up and apologized to Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang before going to open the door. It wasn't the main entrance. The main entrance of every private room was completely isolated from the outside world. One could only enter with a key. The side door was only known to the staff of the auction house. Every private hall was equipped with a staff member of the Chamber of Commerce to serve as a temporary butler. Previously, when the two siblings, Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang, came to visit, the staff of the Chamber of Commerce had informed them in advance. Elder Shun Qian of Thunderbolt Hall, Protector Luo Yunling, and the second son of the helm, Wang Liao. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Invite them in. Elder Shun, Enforcer Luo. Brother Wang. Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang hurriedly bowed. All of them were famous seniors in the 33 continents. This was especially true for Elder Shin Qian, who was the junior brother of Wang Chiha, the helmsman of Thunderclap Hall. He was a rank 9 super expert of Zizhou. In the 33 continents where there were very few experts, Zizhou was a rank 9 super expert. The 100 Refining Knife Valley is quite fast. The beautiful woman, Luo Yunling, said with a smile. Her words were sharp. Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang. It was a little awkward. Are we late? On the contrary, Shun Qian was rather amiable and said with a smile. Not late, not late. Zhu Liang smiled bitterly and nodded. His gaze fell on his sister, Zhu Yu. Both of them were helpless. The pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. However, with the arrival of the Thunderbolt Hall, Zhu Liang knew that the 100 Refining Knife Valley's chances were slim. After all, the difference between rank 98 and rank 7 wasn't just a number. It was an essential difference. Zhu Liang looked at Lin Feng and pointed at his sister, Zhu Yu. Zhu Yu blushed and wanted to find a hole to hide in. There were even seniors of the Thunderbolt Hall watching them. However, this was the only advantage Zhu Liang could think of. The two of them were about to leave. Qi Cloud Stage. Brother Lin, are you really in the 6th level of Qi Cloud Stage? Wang Liao was shocked and exclaimed. In a split second, the beautiful woman, Luo Yunling, and Shun Qian's eyes lit up. They stared at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a rare treasure. On the other side, the siblings, Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang, who were about to leave, were rooted to the ground as if they were hit by a body-securing talisman. What did they hear? Cough. The beautiful woman, Luo Yunling, glanced at the siblings and coughed lightly. Wang Liao then reacted. However, he was too outspoken. He smiled embarrassedly. Brother Lin is too shocking. This is the first time I've seen a perfect body in the Chi Cloud stage. I have to say that I am impressed. Brother Lin's bloodline is pure and has a bright future. Brother Wang is too kind. Lin Feng said modestly. Since he couldn't hide it, there was no point in hiding it anymore. Wang Liao's straightforward character gave people a good impression. Not at all. Wang Liao didn't care about Protector Luo's face and said, "There's only one person on the Glorious Stars list who has broken through the perfect body in the Chi Cloud stage. She is the goddess in my heart, Fairy Rumeng. Brother Lin is the second person I have seen. I heard from my father that for all those who break through the perfect body in the Chi Cloud stage, Nirvana is just the starting point. They can become influential figures in the Nirvana world." Fairy Rumeng. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. The transcendent existence at the top of the Glorious Stars list, a 9th-level Chi Cloud expert. Legend has it that she is a true transcendent genius. Wait. Suddenly, Zhu Liang's command caused everyone's gaze to converge. With a stiff expression, Zhu Liang looked at Lin Feng with a shocked expression. "So, Brother Lin, when you fought with me, you were only in the 6th level of Chi Cloud stage?" At the side, Shun Qian and Luo Yunling's expressions froze. They didn't know that Lin Feng had fought with Zhu Liang before. You can say that. Lin Feng hesitated for a moment and nodded. He couldn't tell Zhu Liang that he was only in the 5th level of Chi Cloud stage. That would be too shocking. Hiss. Even though he was already mentally prepared, Zhu Liang still felt a wave of dizziness. Behind him, Zhu Yu hurriedly grabbed onto his arm. Zhu Liang shook his head in disbelief, muttering, "Master is right. There's always someone better than you. I originally thought that I was already very outstanding to be able to enter the Brilliant Stars list, but Zhu Liang's expression was unsure whether to cry or laugh. Sighed Brother Lin. How can I endure this? Among them, Wang Lian was the calmest. This was because he was already shocked when he heard the news. Now he was calm. However, Shun Qian and Luo Yunling's expressions had already changed greatly. The experienced and knowledgeable Shun Qian looked at Zhu Liang, his chest rising and falling slightly. "You're saying you lost to Lin Feng and used all your strength?" Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang, these two siblings, had quite a bit of fame in the younger generation. "Yes, Elder Shun." Zhu Liang's voice was mixed with bitterness and mixed feelings. To be continued. Chapter 506. It was possible to defeat a level 7 fetus weak. For example, Ao Lin was only level 4 fetus weak, but with the help of a heaven-grade holy treasure, his strength could reach level 9 fetus weak. But for a level 6 Chi Cloud to defeat a level 7 fetus weak, it was an entire level. This was not something a heaven-grade holy treasure could do. Moreover, Zhu Liang was a genius martial artist ranked 988 on the Glorious Stars list. Similarly, Zhu Liang came from a prestigious family. Among the fetus week 7, Zhu Liang was definitely one of the best. "Brother Lin, have you joined any other sects?" Shun Qian did not know that his voice was trembling when he spoke. Luo Yunling and Wang Lian looked at him expectantly. Zhu Yu bit her lips, her face slightly pale. "Not yet." Lin Feng smiled and replied, "In terms of power in the Nirvana world, the top 10 sects in the 33 continents were Immortal Pavilion, Nirvana Sect, and Enlightenment Valley. The 4th-ranked Blood Mansion was in between the 1st and 2nd levels. Thunderbolt Palace was in the 2nd level, second only to Blood Mansion. Then, are you willing to join Thunderbolt Palace?" Shun Qian's eyes glowed. "I, Shun Qian, can guarantee that as long as Thunderbolt Palace can afford it, you will be able to enjoy all the resources. This includes all the heart and martial arts of Thunderbolt Palace, all kinds of secret saber arts, arcane intent cultivation, etc." Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang's expressions turned ugly. In terms of sincerity, sex standards, and resources, they were not as good as Thunderbolt Palace. As long as Lin Feng was not stupid, he could already imagine what choice he would make. "I understand." Lin Feng nodded. "But this is not a small matter. Please allow me to think about it." He did not want to make a decision now. Shen Qian looked disappointed. The beautiful woman, Luo Yunling, frowned slightly. She seemed to want to say something, but at this moment, there was a light knock on the door. Everyone was slightly startled. Lin Feng apologized to everyone and went to the side door. Absolute Saber Manor. Deputy Manor Lord Qi Tianho and his son Qi Do. Lin Feng was surprised. Interesting. Either they did not come, or they all came. The Absolute Saber Manor was ranked 12th in the 33 continents. It was the third Saber sect, second only to Thunderbolt Palace. It was much inferior to Thunderbolt Palace. Invite them in. They stared at each other. The arrival of the Absolute Saber Villa immediately caused the hall to become much livelier. Originally, there was only Lin Feng. Now, including Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang, there were a total of 8 people. Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang had already completely let themselves go, with the Thunderbolt Hall in front of them. The addition of the Absolute Saber Manor was nothing. On the contrary, the second and third slash of the 33 continents caused sparks to fly everywhere. Oomph, your nose is quite sharp. Shen Qian sneered. How can I run as fast as you? Qi Tianming didn't let him off. Don't you know that it's first come, first served? Shen Qian snorted. I just like to snatch. It's none of your business. Qi Tianming retorted. Listening to the quarrel between the two, Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The two of them seemed to have accumulated resentment for a long time. They bickered fiercely. By the side, Wang Wei and Bamboo Hat felt helpless. They were good friends, but that didn't mean that their elders were good friends. The two of them were famous seniors in the 33 continents. If others knew that they were quarreling like children, they would definitely be dumbfounded. For a moment, no one dared to interfere. After all, other than Protector Luo, the others were all juniors. The beautiful woman, Luo Yunling, was also helpless. It seemed that she had seen too much. Dark Crystal stood at the side and watched, as if waiting for them to get tired of quarreling. Absolute Saber Manor. Lin Feng thought to himself. In comparison, he was more inclined toward the Thunderbolt Hall, but nothing was absolute. The gap between the Absolute Saber Manor and the Thunderbolt Hall wasn't that big. It wasn't too late to make a choice. After quarreling for half an hour, the two of them were finally tired. They snorted coldly and ignored each other. The juniors secretly heaved a sigh of relief, afraid that they would fight. Although fighting was prohibited in the auction house, it depended on the person. If two Zizhou 9th stage experts fought, who could stop them? The strongest person in the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce was the Warriors Department's Violent Dragon, Luo Ho, who was also Zizhou 9th stage. In terms of strength, he was inferior to these two. I say, Brother Lin, you have to consider carefully. The Deputy Manor Lord, Qi Tianming, winked. Our Absolute Saber Manor is of the same origin. In terms of saber techniques, we are stronger than the Thunderbolt Hall. As the saying goes, quality is more important than quantity, right? Join the Absolute Saber Manor and become the Manor Lord's disciple. Brother Lin, you have a high chance of succeeding the Manor Lord's position in the future. The Thunderbolt Hall definitely can't give you this. Moreover, the Manor Lord has 2 beautiful daughters. One is 10 and the other is 8. They're natural beauties. In 8 or 10 years, I guarantee that they won't be inferior to the fairies in the Celestial Pavilion. They will be more down to earth. By then, you will have fame and benefits. With beauties in your arms, you won't have to worry about the kingdom. Qi Tianming talked nonstop. Everyone around was dumbfounded when they heard this. What a great eloquence. How tempting. Cheeto couldn't help but ask, Father, what you said, does the Manor Lord know about it? Shut up, you little brat. Qi Tianming slapped the back of Cheeto's head and stared at him. Haven't you heard of the saying, when a general is outside, he can't obey the orders of the emperor? The Manor Lord has given me all the authority to represent the Absolute Saber Manor. Oomph. Cheeto held the back of his head in pain and muttered in his heart. The Manor Lord had only given him the authority to handle the auction. If he knew that his father had sold his 2 daughters, he would probably faint from anger. Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He thought that Zhu Liang was already exaggerating enough. He didn't expect the Deputy Manor Lord, Qi Tianming, to be even more ridiculous. He even dragged the manor lord's daughters into it. What was going on? The people from the Thunderbolt Hall listened until their eyes turned white. Sun Xian wanted to interrupt a few times, but decided not to. In terms of eloquence, he wasn't as eloquent as Qi Tianming. This guy could definitely talk from the sky to the Dragon Palace, from the Dragon Palace to the bedroom. Everyone's saliva flew everywhere. Lin Feng was brainwashed for half an hour. When Qi Tianming said that he was tired, Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. He glanced at the crowd and said, Lin Feng understands the meaning of all the seniors and brothers. Let me think for 2 days. When the auction is over, I will give you a final answer. Before he finished speaking, the side door was knocked again. This time, Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. The people from the Thunderbolt Hall, the Absolute Saber Manor, and the 100 Refining Saber Valley were all here. Who else was there? A trace of uneasiness appeared in his mind. A.O. Lin's figure appeared. Lin Feng's heart sank. He apologized to the crowd and walked to the side door. However, the message from the Chamber of Commerce's staff stunned Lin Feng. It can't be. Chapter 507. Immortal Pavilion? Lin Feng furrowed his brows. If it was A.O. Lin from the Nirvana sect, he wouldn't be so surprised. But Immortal Pavilion. It was the most famous sect in the 33 continents. No matter the storm, it had always been at the top of the list. Why would they want him? To recruit him? Immortal Pavilion had never recruited a male disciple. Strange. Lin Feng didn't know much about Immortal Pavilion. There weren't many records about it either. He only knew that Immortal Pavilion was located in the depths of the clouds and hidden in the mountains. It was even more mysterious than Blood Tower. He only knew that the appearance of Immortal Pavilion's disciples was like a fairy descending to the mortal world. Their strength was unfathomable. Goddess Wakaman, who is currently ranked first on the Glorious Stars list, was the successor of Immortal Pavilion. In the Nirvana world, Immortal Pavilion is at the top level. Lin Feng clearly remembered what President Sidhu had said. He didn't mention the Nirvana sect or the Valley of Enlightenment, only Immortal Pavilion, a sect that was truly above the clouds. Let her in. Lin Feng was very curious. It was an otherworldly woman. Her hands were soft and her skin was smooth. She was 18 years old and looked like a budding peony. Just by standing there, she gave people a feeling that they couldn't profane her. She was like a fairy from the heavens descending to the mortal world. Dressed in a white dress, the peony girl's appearance caused even Lin Feng, who had an astonishing mental fortitude, to sigh softly. There was actually such a beautiful woman in the world. On the side, Wang Lian, Bamboo Hat, and Zhu Liang were already stunned. Even Zhu Yu, who was a woman, couldn't take her eyes off the peony woman. Temperament. Lin Feng understood that this was a temperament that came from the heart. It was untainted by the mortal world. The heart was like an immortal, and the person was like an immortal. She was already a peerless beauty. With this ethereal temperament, she looked like a fairy from the heavens. Goddess Wakaman. Xin Qian and Qi Tianming spoke at the same time, shocking everyone present. They had only heard of her name. They had never seen her before. She is the Goddess Wakaman? Lin Feng's heart trembled. The peony girl in front of him looked like she was only 18 years old, but she was already at the 9th level of the Qi Cloud stage and ranked first on the Glorious Stars list. Qi Cloud, perfect body. Goddess Wakaman's gaze landed on Lin Feng and was slightly surprised. However, she immediately calmed down and bowed slightly. Ruoming greets Elder Shun and Vice Manor Head Qi. Her heavenly voice lingered in the air and went straight into people's hearts. Hello, Goddess Wakaman. Shun Qian returned the greeting. What? Does the Celestial Pavilion want to snatch people from us as well? Qi Tianming was a big mouth. Goddess Wakaman frowned slightly. Her beautiful eyes swept across the room and paused on Lin Feng for a while. Deputy Manor Head Qi, you've misunderstood. Ruoming came from Hall. My fellow disciples from a Celestial Pavilion encountered a Sky Fiend expert on the way. Because Senior Sister was injured, we were delayed for a while. When we arrived, all the halls were already fully booked. A Sky Fiend expert. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. It was equivalent to a human's Nemo expert. Your master is here too? Shun Xian asked in surprise. Goddess Wakaman shook her head gently. No, there's only Ruoming and 4 fellow disciples. The 5 of them encountered a sky fiend expert on the way and were only injured. Then how did you escape? Qi Tianming asked curiously. Goddess Wakaman said softly, He's dead. She was very calm and collected, but the shock she gave off was extremely intense. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. He knew very well that the Sky Fiend expert had most likely been killed by Goddess Wakaman. She lived up to her reputation as #1 on the Star Brilliance list. So, you want me to give you the hall? Lin Feng more or less understood Goddess Wakaman's intentions. Even the Divine Nirvana sect didn't have a seat and was squeezed to the private hall level. It was normal that the Celestial Pavilion didn't have a seat. Compared to ordinary seats, the private hall was much more convenient. Status was one thing, and it was better to participate in the auction. Most importantly, it was guaranteed. Goddess Wakaman nodded. I will return the deposit to you. Please do me a favor. Lin Feng smiled. What's in it for me? The entire hall froze in an instant. No one expected Lin Feng to say this. Even Goddess Wakaman was a little surprised. In the past, he only needed to say the name of the Celestial Pavilion when he walked around the 33 continents. Basically, all the factions would do him a favor. Goddess Wakaman nodded lightly. On behalf of my fellow disciples, I will thank you. I don't need your thanks. Lin Feng was straightforward. Without giving Goddess Wakaman any time to think, Lin Feng said, I can give you the hall, but courtesy demands reciprocity. I did you a favor. Shouldn't you do me a favor in return? In fact, even if Goddess Wakaman didn't come, he was already planning to leave. Thunderbolt Palace and the Severing Saber Manor could find this place. If A.O. Lin became suspicious and investigated, he might find him. He couldn't just sit around and wait for death. Moreover, he had already achieved his goal of reserving the hall. As for Goddess Wakaman, even if he gave her the hall, he wouldn't owe her a favor. He might as well give it a try. Goddess Wakaman frowned slightly. Please speak. Lin Feng smiled. I've heard of the Celestial Pavilion. My sister has admired it for a long time, but she doesn't have a sect to join. I don't have any other requests. As long as Goddess Wakaman agrees to bring my sister to the Celestial Pavilion and put in a good word for her, regardless of whether she can join the Celestial Pavilion in the end, I will fulfill one of her wishes. As for this hall, whoosh! Lin Feng directly threw the key over. He didn't give Goddess Wakaman any chance to reject. The latter caught the key and was slightly stunned. She suddenly looked over with her beautiful eyes. Brother, I admire your wisdom. At the side, Shun Xian and Qi Tianming secretly nodded. From the beginning to the end, he didn't give Goddess Wakaman any chance to reject him. Now that he had the key, he couldn't possibly return it. Otherwise, it would seem that the Celestial Pavilion was too pretentious. In fact, with the Celestial Pavilion's name and Goddess Wakaman's name, many forces were willing to give up their hall. However, Lin Feng had already taken action and tied the Goddess Wakaman here. Bring my sister to the Celestial Pavilion? He had already brought her here, and with Goddess Wakaman's identity, how could he not succeed? After all, Goddess Wakaman had the right to accept disciples herself. The Celestial Pavilion took the path of elites and focused on nurturing their disciples. All the disciples of the Celestial Pavilion were personally selected by the fairies in the 33 continents. Then I'll thank Goddess Wakaman on behalf of my sister, Lin Feng said with a smile. The Celestial Pavilion. Goddess Wakaman. Lan Xinyan's mouth was slightly open. She couldn't hide her excitement. To every girl, the Celestial Pavilion was the holy land of their dreams. It was the holy land of fairies. For generations, legends of fairies have been circulating among the people for a long time. The Red Lotus Sword sect and the Flying Swallow Palace were worlds apart from the Celestial Pavilion. Take good care of yourself, Lin Feng said with a smile. Yes, yes. Lan Xinyan was so excited that she couldn't speak. She kept nodding. Thank you, Brother Lin. Lan Xinyan was so happy that she cried tears of joy. She happily pounced on Lin Feng and hugged him tightly. Lin Feng's heart warmed. Unknowingly, he had already treated Lan Xinyan as his younger sister. I promised you that I would find a good place for you, Lin Feng said with a smile as he hugged Lan Xinyan gently. Chapter 508. He was enlightened. Now that there was only one person left, he was not used to it. I wonder if Brother Li is doing well. Lin Feng strolled on the crowded street and couldn't help but think of Li Jixing. Back then, he had come to Planet Nemo with him, but they had to separate at Jinglan Mountain Range. Although he had the protection of the Bloodwalker boots, Li Jixing was still very weak back then. I hope the heavens help him. If Brother Li is safe and acclimatizes to Planet Nemo, he should be like me. His strength will increase tremendously in a short period of time. Third-generation humans aren't bad. Lin Feng nodded. Although they had a slow start, their foundation was solid, especially when it came to ancient martial arts cultivation. It connected the martial soul to the soul, making it perfect. Perhaps their initial cultivation was far inferior to Planet Nemo's humans, but their chances of obtaining a perfect body were higher. Gain the upper hand after striking. Second-generation human descendants have a brain expanse that exceeds 40%. Many exceed 70%, even 80% or 90%. They are unable to cultivate Earth's ancient martial arts and stimulate their martial souls. Just like Earth's technological martial arts. In ancient martial arts, the appearance of a martial soul was gradual. It was like building a building with one layer after another. Without the first layer, there naturally wouldn't be a second layer. It could be said that ancient martial arts were specially designed for the third-generation humans with zero foundation. Of course, to reach 100% brain expanse required considerable talent and opportunity. With Brother Li's talent, it won't be a problem. Lin Feng knew Li Jixing's ability very well. After all, they had fought side by side for so long. Back on Earth, Li Jixing's talent was even stronger than his. All he lacked was luck. As one of China's twin stars, he was the same age as him. Li Jixing didn't lack talent or hard work. He just lacked a little opportunity. However, he ultimately can't compare to a true genius. Lin Feng sighed. No matter how good you are, there will always be someone better. Goddess Wakaman was only 18 years old, but she was already at the 9th stage of the Qi Cloud Realm. Such talent was amazing. High-grade, Earth-ranked Holy Treasure. Starting price of 10 million. Top-grade, Earth-ranked Holy Treasure. Starting price of 100 million. Holy power is rare and precious. The price of similar items is 10 times higher. The auction manual surfaced in Lin Feng's mind. Every private hall had a giveaway, which was different from every auction catalog in the VIP hall. The auction brochure only indicated the name, type, and starting price. Although the private hall had been transferred to Celestial Pavilion, Lin Feng still remembered the auction brochure. Naturally, he had to participate in the auction. A high-grade Earth rank Holy Treasure or above. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce did not directly sell the rare mid-grade Earth rank Holy Treasures. To put it simply, it was based on 10 million Nemo dollars. Anything below 10 million Nemo dollars could be sold directly, and anything above 10 million could only be obtained through auctions. I need a pair of combat boots. Light-type combat boots are the best. They can directly increase speed. Lin Feng was well aware of his weakness. Speed. In a battle where one was at a higher level, speed was at a disadvantage. Strength could be made up for by attacking, but speed, even with the profound meaning of darkness, heavy, and the profound meaning of light, swift light, it was still a disadvantage. It would be difficult to make up for the huge gap between them. The light war boots he was wearing now was only a top-level human tier Holy Treasure. It could only be used during the Qi Cyclone stage, but it would be greatly reduced during the Qi Cloud stage. The Earth rank Holy Treasure could be used in the Fetus Week and Child Week. Like the 9 Serenity Thunderblade. I can make do with armor. I can directly buy a Darkness-type mid-grade Earth rank Holy Treasure. The price is between 1 million and 10 million. After all, I still have the titanium body as a layer of defense. As for armor, Lin Feng had always been at the bottom of his list of needs. Because his fighting style did not rely on armor and the domineering heart of a Saber Master. The Saber Master was unparalleled. The Saber Master determined victory and defeat. It focused on killing the enemy, not lingering on at death's door. As for all kinds of offensive treasures, there is no need for special treasures for now. Fighting with a saber is the most direct and purest power. Moreover, in terms of concealment, power, and effectiveness, Holy Chi offensive earth treasures are not as practical as holy power earth treasures. Lin Feng thought to himself, there are a total of 7 mid-grade holy power earth treasures in this auction. The starting price is 10 million Nemo dollars. 3 high-grade holy power earth treasures. The starting price is 100 million Nemo dollars. I will fight for one of them. It was time for the soul-severing 4-color square to be eliminated. But first, I have to buy what is necessary. Lin Feng looked at the Rising Sun shop in front of him and walked in. Because he had to pay a deposit, he had tied up all his Nemo dollars. Now he could finally buy 2 Dark Series armor. Mid-grade, Earth-grade Holy Treasure, Yang Swallowing Demonic Armor. 5 million Nemo dollars. Lin Feng did not spend much time choosing. In addition to basic defense, the Yang Swallowing Demonic Armor could activate the Yang Swallowing ability with Dark Holy Chi to devour part of the attack power. For him, who had already comprehended Dark Swallowing, it could save a lot of time. He chose 2 sets. It was better to be prepared. The armor consumed too quickly. Sir, a total of 10 million Nemo dollars. The woman looked at Lin Feng in a low voice. She was a little nervous. It was rare to receive such a big order, and 2 at a time. Okay. Lin Feng took out a piece of pure white jade and placed it on the table. On the transparent jade, there was a rising sun, symbolizing the vitality of life. The woman's eyes widened. This was the symbol of the highest level of VIP in the Chamber of Commerce. With this jade, he could enjoy a 20% discount on all products. Dear sir, please wait a moment. The woman was a little nervous and a little flustered. No need to calculate. After the discount, it will be 8 million Nemo dollars. Lin Feng looked calm. Also, help me get the 4th and 5th chapter of Ominous Dark Art and the 2nd volume of Alcade. Oh, okay. The woman flipped open the price list and was stunned. Her voice trembled. The 4th chapter of Ominous Dark Art, 80 million Nemo dollars. The 5th chapter, 300 million Nemo dollars. The 2nd volume of Alcade, 440 million Nemo dollars. Lin Feng frowned and paused for a moment. 2 first-grade Holy Chi cultivation methods. It was more expensive than he expected. But both his Dark Holy Chi and Alcade Holy Chi were about to reach the 6th level. He would need the cultivation methods by then. The previous methods could only last until the 1st week of pregnancy. It was too slow to rely on Saint Crystals to cultivate during the 2nd week of pregnancy. I'll be entering Thunderbolt Palace in 2 days. I'll be cultivating in seclusion for a while. It'll be too late to buy the cultivation methods by then. Lin Feng thought that there might be other Holy Chi mantras of light and dark in the Thunderbolt Palace, but it would take too much effort for him to switch and cultivate them all over again. I have an internal discount limit for 2 items. Lin Feng took out the money he earned from the auction and handed it over. If he didn't take some money from the sale of his private hall, it would be a waste of his title as the leader of the Elemental Chamber of Commerce. Oh, the woman was a little dazed. Chapter 509. The cost was huge. Even with the internal discount, the 2 manuals cost 840 million Nemo dollars, saving 400 million. However, Lin Feng's pocket was empty. Of the original 545 million Nemo coins, he gave the remaining 50,000 to Lan Xinyan. After all, it was fate that brought them together. There were many places in the Celestial Pavilion that required money. After deducting the 50 million Nemo dollars deposit, he spent 480 million in the Rising Sun shop. Now, he only had 6 million Nemo dollars, Lin Feng said softly. Including the deposit of 50 million Nemo dollars, we only have 110 million available. I can't compete for 3 advanced-level sacred power earthly treasures with a starting price of 100 million Nemo dollars. There are also 7 intermediate-level sacred power earthly treasures with a starting price of 10 million Nemo dollars. If I can get one, I'll complete the mission. Also, I'll bid for a light-type, advanced-level sacred power, earthly treasure boots. If I don't have enough money, I'll buy intermediate-level ones. Lin Feng was magnanimous. Sacred treasures were just external objects after all. Unless it was an incredible treasure like the dragon pearl necklace, he would spare no effort to compete for it. Earth-grade sacred treasures were just a transition, just like the man-grade sacred treasures. In comparison, the manuals were much more important. It's too late. There's no need to show up now. I'll find a place to settle down and wait for the auction to start. Lin Feng thought to himself. Although he didn't know A.O. Lin's current situation, he would avoid him if he could. After the auction ended, he would leave Eastcom Continent with Thunderbolt Palace. By then, he would be free to fly. At the auction house. Humph, the so-called Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. Protecting a guest? Bah, pretentious, ignorant. A.O. Lin sneered. If it's my father, let's see if you can still protect him. A.O. Lin led Li Jun and the others to Private Hall 60 like a valiant army. Do you think I can't find out if you don't tell me? Ignorant. Lin Feng of the Chinese. Let's see where you can run to this time. Looking at the clear number 60, A.O. Lin's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He was determined to get the five-tailed snow fox. Celestial Pavilion? A.O. Lin was stunned. How could it be the Celestial Pavilion? A.O. Lin was dumbfounded. Lin Feng is staying in room 60. His gaze landed on the silent staff of the auction house. The latter's expression was ugly, but he could not say anything. Although he knew the reason, the rules of the auction house were there, and he could not reveal it to the guests, even if Lin Feng had already transferred the hall to the Celestial Pavilion. How dare you lie to me? A.O. Lin glared at him. Do you know who I am? He roared furiously. A.O. Lin was like a lion. There was a loud clap of thunder on the ground. The staff of the auction house went silent like cicadas in winter, and their legs almost went soft under the pressure of A.O. Lin's imposing aura. When they saw A.O. Lin's murderous gaze, they were already terrified in their hearts, and they were just about to disregard everything and speak the truth when a fragrant wind blew by abruptly, and then a celestial maiden descended from the sky. Her appearance instantly caused the eyes of A.O. Lin and the others to light up. Goddess Wakaman, A.O. Lin instantly turned into a docile lamb. Greetings, young sect master. Goddess Wakaman nodded slightly. I don't know. What's the matter, young sect master? This. A.O. Lin was speechless. His gaze swept past Goddess Wakaman and into the inner layer of the hall, and he could vaguely see the other disciples of the Celestial Pavilion in white. In fact, he already believed most of it in his heart. After all, he had never heard of a celestial maiden of the Celestial Pavilion being in the same room with a strange man. A.O. Lin said softly, "This is where Goddess Wakaman stays?" Yes. Goddess Wakaman's beautiful eyes flashed slightly. Nice to meet you. A.O. Lin smiled apologetically. I've heard of Goddess Wakaman's name, and it's like thunder to my ears. My father asked me to come and ask if your master is doing well. My master is doing very well. Thank you, Sect Master A.O. Goddess Wakaman said politely. Although A.O. Lin wanted to talk, he felt like he was being seen through by those beautiful eyes. He could only smile awkwardly. It's nothing. The God Nirvana sect and the Celestial Pavilion have always been on good terms. I'm just here to say hello. Huh, Goddess Wakaman nodded. Young Sect Master is too polite. The senior sisters are cultivating. If young Sect Master doesn't have anything else to say, A.O. Lin was a little embarrassed that she directly asked him to leave. However, in front of Goddess Wakaman, other than his family background, he didn't seem to have any place to raise his head. It's fine, it's fine. Go ahead, A.O. Lin hurriedly said. Goddess Wakaman bowed slightly. Her white dress fluttered, and a fragrant wind blew over. Her figure instantly disappeared without a trace. She came like the wind and left like the wind. Number 1 on the Glorious Stars list. What's there to be proud of? A.O. Lin gritted his teeth and his chest heaved. She's just a woman, goddess of the Celestial Pavilion, my ass. One day, I'll make you lower your noble head. Damn it. A.O. Lin clenched his fists. A sense of defeat arose spontaneously, bringing with it a sense of inferiority. Although he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth and had received the best training and the best resources since he was young, his talent was limited. Although he had used all kinds of pills and spirit fruits to increase his limit, especially now that he was close to a perfect body, there was still a big gap between him and a true genius. Goddess Wakamin didn't mention it. He couldn't even compare to Wang Lai from the Thunderbolt Palace. In the Jinglan mountain range, he was even played by a Chinese kid in the Cyclone stage. Chinese Lin Feng. Don't let me find you, five-tailed snow fox. I want your life. Me too. A.O. Lin gritted his teeth. Meeting Goddess Wakamin made the jealousy and anger in his heart explode. At this moment, Lin Feng was meditating. Hiss, hiss, the absorption of the dark devil, Saint Chi, had reached a bottleneck. Back then, it had been transformed from second-grade dark devil holy aura. Now, it had officially surpassed dark devil holy aura. Even without the enhancement of a perfect body, the dark devil holy aura itself was first grade and had a perfect aptitude. At the 6th level, it could gather essence to form a neonate star. Now, it was even simpler. The vortex spun violently and absorbed the dark devil holy aura from all directions. It was different from a neonate star formed by the Thunder Dragon holy aura. The neonate star formed by the dark devil holy aura was like pushing a boat with the current. In just an instant, it had gathered into a neonate star that emitted dark, demonic power. Pa! Pa! It stood opposite the Thunder Dragon neonate star. It was also the 6th level neonate star. The Thunder Dragon neonate star is stronger, but the Dark Devil neonate star can sense it more clearly. Lin Feng was tempted. The pure energy brought by the neonate star flowed to the meridians and bones in his body. Once again, he enjoyed the increase of power. Lin Feng was delighted. With his current body in the Qi Cloud stage, the strengthening effect was undoubtedly quite obvious. Originally, his body was comparable to the 2nd level of the neonate stage. Now it's about time. I've reached the 3rd level of the neonate stage. Lin Feng smiled. When my body has completely absorbed it, it will be time. It's time to participate in the big auction. Chapter 510. The Dongling Auction House was unprecedentedly grand. Even an ordinary seat would require a hefty deposit, which still attracted many martial artist forces, sects, clans, lone travelers, and reclusive experts from the surrounding continents. Caution was the parent of safety. Lin Feng put on a human skin mask and entered the auction house, hiding in the crowd. Of course, he had to avoid them. However, as a martial artist, there was no need for him to tremble with fear in everything he did, fearing everything and causing his inner demons. So many people. Lin Feng was on the 2nd floor of the Dongling Auction House, the VIP floor. A single seat required a deposit of 100 million Nemo dollars, which wasn't bad. As far as the eye could see, the seats were densely packed with people, causing one to sigh endlessly. As for the floor at the bottom, there were 10 times more people than the VIP floor. Only 1/10 of the people can buy an item. 90% of the people have to pay a deposit of 1%. Most of them are from the 1st and 2nd floors. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce has made a lot of money from the entrance fee alone, plus the commission from the auction items. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce will definitely make a lot of money. But money, after all, is just money. Lin Feng understood. The 5 superpowers of the 33 continents seemed to be glorious, but that was only in the 33 continents. In the Nirvana world, the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce and the Valley of 10,000 Medicine were like brothers in distress. The 8 Trigrams Palace was even worse. Just like the East Pole Palace, they were struggling at death's door. The treasure refining sect was relatively better. After all, they had a unique refining technique which not only attracted a group of lone travelers, but also had a good network. Among the 5 superpowers, the Blood Tower was doing the best in the Nirvana world. The Blood Assassin organization was a gathering of elites. They were good at killing and fighting. Those who weren't qualified were all dead. Those who could survive in the Blood Tower and enter the Nirvana world were naturally the best at tracking, hiding, and fighting. The Blood Tower could do well in the Nirvana world. In fact, it wasn't surprising. On Earth, the most powerful force in ancient China was the true martial arts arena. The inheritance of ancient martial arts was the most important. It was on the Nemo planet. The inheritance of a sect was far more important than money. Lin Feng thought to himself. The Elemental Merchant Alliance was like the rising sun chamber of commerce, rich but powerless. If he hadn't risen by luck, the Elements Merchant League had already been annexed by the dragon-killing island. In a world where martial arts reigned supreme, combat power and powerhouses were more useful than money. The auction was about to officially begin. Although Lin Feng didn't know how to conduct an auction, he understood after watching the auction go on for a few rounds. In front of him were cards with numbers from 2 to 9, which represented multiples. Red, yellow, blue, green, and purple, which represented sums of money. They were respectively 100,000, 100 million, 1 billion, and 10 billion. Every time you raise the bid, you just need to raise the number plate and color plate. The auctioneer will ring 3 times. If no one raises their paddle, then the auction is a success. The highest bidder wins. It's that simple. At this time, the auction was in full swing, and the pace was very fast. Basically, there was a deal every minute. At first, it was just some small items to warm up. The starting price was the lowest 10 million Nemo coins, and the highest was 21 million Nemo coins. However, everyone was in high spirits. The auction is divided into 10 segments. Each segment is an upward slope, and the price of the treasures gets higher and higher. Each segment has its own final treasure. Although it's not as good as the 3 final treasures with the starting price of 10 billion, it's at least 1 billion Nemo coins, which is the value of a perfect Earth treasure. Lin Feng watched calmly. He didn't make a move. As the leader of the Elemental Merchant Alliance, he knew a lot about auctions. In an auction, the prices in the middle of the auction were the most normal, and the fluctuations were the least. At the beginning of the auction, everyone was full and the competition was the fiercest. Needless to say, at the end of the auction, the finale was the last segment. If they didn't bid at the end, when would they? In the middle segment, some people had run out of ammunition and food, some were waiting for a better opportunity, and some were saving up for the finale. Therefore, the middle segment was often the most reasonable. The first segment, the second segment, the third segment. Lin Feng waited patiently for the 5th segment. In fact, he had already started a bid in the 4th segment, but it was too expensive and he gave up. A mid-level Saint Power Earth treasure with a starting price of 10 million Nemo coins was sold to 110 million. Lin Feng could afford it, but he didn't want to waste it. As for the first and second mid-level Saint Power Earth treasures, they were both sold for more than 150 million Nemo coins. It's higher than expected. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. A high-level Saint Power Earth treasure with a starting price of 10 million Nemo coins would be sold for around 50 million Nemo coins. The Saint Power Earth treasure was a bit overpriced. The rarer something is, the more valuable it is. Lin Feng understood. After all, there were plenty of high-level Saint Power Earth treasures, but there were only 7 mid-level Saint Power Earth treasures out of the tens of thousands of auction items. Plus, most of the warriors on planet Nemo cultivated Saint Chi. There were fewer Saint Power cultivators, and the fewer there were, the better. How could he not fight for it? I guess I'll have to give up the boots. Lin Feng knew what to do. If he couldn't afford the high-level Earth treasure boots, he could just buy the mid-level Earth treasure boots. They range from 1 million to 5 million Nemo coins, and even the best ones wouldn't exceed 10 million Nemo coins. He could even get a 20% discount. Saint Power Earth treasures were hard to come by. King Lang's shuttle, a mid-level Saint Power Earth treasure. The auctioneer's voice rang out clearly. Fetus 2nd grade Saint Power. Qian 1st grade Saint Power can control it. This item is controlled by Saint Power and has 2 forms. It can be used as a single attack or as a separate attack. The single attack mode is the attack mode, and the separate attack mode is the speed mode. It's flexible and changeable. In an instant, it caused a series of murmurs. Heated discussions broke out. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Even mid-level Saint Power earthly treasures had their differences. For example, The third mid-level Saint Power Earth treasure that had just been sold was Fetus third-grade Saint Power. Chiyun first-grade Saint Power could control it. The difference was a whole level. An increase in usage requirements wasn't a bad thing. It meant that this item's control and attack power would also increase. Of course, it wasn't 100%. I have to get this one. Lin Feng was ready. The remaining fifth item was called Cloud Illusion. It sounded like an illusion-type Saint Power Earth treasure. In comparison, he preferred the pure attack type. The illusion type might not be much better than the 4 colors of Soul Severing. After all, the 4 colors of Soul Severing had more attack forms. The Magpie Bridges item was naturally better than the Saint Treasures on Planet Nemo. As for the 6th and 7th Saint Power Earth treasures, they would be auctioned at the end. The price would definitely be raised, and he might not be able to afford them. After all, he only had 112 million Nemo coins left. King Lang's Shuttle. Starting price is 10 million. Begin. Chapter 511. 10 million. 30 million. 40 million. At the start, the price had doubled by 10 million Nemo dollars. It was obvious how popular this King Wei shuttle was. Before Lin Feng could make a bid, the price had already risen to 50 million Nemo dollars. It was rising at an alarming rate. Lin Feng was tempted. It's rising even faster than the third item. If this continues, it might exceed the third item's price. It was also unexpected. The King Wei shuttle's uniqueness and value were clearly better than other mid-level Saint Power treasures. Before the auction, only the name and starting price were known. 60 million. The auctioneer's clear voice rang out. Lin Feng had made up his mind. I can't wait any longer. Putting down the gold card, Lin Feng raised the dark blue card. It was a gamble. 100 million. The auctioneer called out the price. Immediately, there was a heated discussion. There were even many gazes that shot towards Lin Feng in unison, and they were filled with curiosity. Lin Feng knew some auction techniques. Calling out a high price would sometimes scare some people away. After all, the real value of auction items fluctuated in a range. Take mid-level Saint Power treasures, for example. 2 of the previous 3 items were over 150 million, while the third was only 110 million. But the real value was not much different. But 150 million. A new round of bids overshadowed the previous one. 110 million. 110 million. The auctioneer's voice rang out. This meant that Lin Feng, who only had 110 million, was out. Lin Feng sighed in his heart. A technique was just a technique. It could scare those who raised the price maliciously, but could not scare those who really wanted the treasures. In fact, he had guessed that the King Wei shuttle, which was better than other mid-level Saint Power treasures of the same level, will be sold for more than 150 million. The 5th item, Cloud Fantasy, Lin Feng murmured. He was a little hesitant. After all, he was not very interested in illusion-type Saint Power treasures. But he could foresee that the last 2 items would be very expensive. Lin Feng was not an indecisive person. He immediately made a decision. Since we are bidding for a pair of high-grade Holy Chi earthly treasure boots at the current price, we can buy them for 50 to 70 million Nemo coins. The rest of the money, there's no harm in keeping it for now. The final price of the King Wei shuttle was fixed at 196 million. In the end, the 2 buyers were completely enraged. Although the King Wei shuttle was indeed better than an ordinary mid-level Holy Power earthly treasure, the final price was too much of an exaggeration. But on the other hand, it could also be seen how popular Holy Power treasures were and how few Holy Power cultivators were. High-level Holy Chi earthly treasure war boots. Lin Feng was flipping through his memories. It did not matter to him who obtained the King Lang's shuttle in the end. There was more than one Saint Power Earth treasure. If he could not obtain it, there was no need to think too much. Compared to Saint Power earthly treasures, there were more than 100 times more Saint Chi earthly treasures. Lin Feng checked them one by one, but it wasn't easy to tell that they were light elemental boots just from their names. 37 possible targets were locked down. There are 3 possible targets in the 5th section, Lin Feng said softly. The auctioneer would explain the characteristics and uses of the auction items in detail when the time came. The starting price of the high-level Holy Chi Earthly Treasure was 100 million Nemo dollars, so the auction order was naturally at the back. After waiting for about half an hour, it was finally the first high-level Holy Chi Earthly Treasure War Boots. Demon Restraining War Boots, a high-level Holy Chi Earthly Treasure. The auctioneer introduced. Light Elemental War Boots. It will release the light of dawn during battle and dispel the fog illusion. It's very useful against dark elementals, especially demons. Starting price, 100 million Nemo dollars. As the auctioneer finished speaking, a bidding war broke out. Lin Feng did not participate. Although the Demon Restraining War Boots were light elemental war boots, they were of little use to him. There was no need to waste money on them. Soon, the bidding war was over. The final price was set at 69 million Nemo dollars. It was neither high nor low. The second and third high-level Holy Chi Earthly Treasure War Boots were also auctioned off. One of them was not light elemental, and Lin Feng was not very interested in the other one. He waited patiently. Lin Feng was not in a hurry. The next item is one of the only 3 high-level Holy Chi Earthly Treasures in this auction, the Flywheel Ring. The auctioneer introduced it grandly. This item has 3 forms. It focuses on attack, and each form will greatly increase its attack and speed. It's a control-type Holy Treasure. Lin Feng listened as well. He was naturally interested in Holy Chi Earthly Treasures, especially the auctioneer who praised the Flywheel Ring as if it was a top-level Holy Chi Earthly Treasure. Something's wrong, Lin Feng thought to himself. At this time, the auction hall was also in an uproar. The control type was the most important and largest branch of Holy Chi, so its Holy Chi Earthly Treasures naturally attracted a lot of attention. The requirements to use the Flywheel Ring are: the auctioneer paused, his eyes bright. First grade Holy Chi in the first week of pregnancy, or second grade Holy Chi in the second week of pregnancy. As soon as he finished, the auction hall was shaken, and there was a mix of surprise, praise, and doubt. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The mid-level Holy Chi Earthly Treasure, King Waste Shuttle, only required first-grade Holy Chi in the second week of pregnancy and first-grade Holy Chi in the Cloud of Chi. Although the Flywheel Ring was a grade higher than it, the requirements to use it were almost double. It was much higher than normal Holy Chi Earthly Treasures. This meant that the power of the Flywheel Ring was very likely to be off the charts. What a pity, Lin Feng sighed. Such a high-level Holy Chi Earthly Treasure would cost at least 700 to 800 million Nemo dollars. It was normal for it to cost more than 1 billion. He had no money. The starting price is 100 million Nemo dollars. The auctioneer shouted. However, the auction hall was filled with discussion, but it fell into a strange atmosphere. No one raised their paddle. Lin Feng was also a little stunned, not knowing what was going on. The auctioneer's expression was a little awkward. His grand introduction was for this reason. In the end, no one bought it. 110 million. After a while, the first person bid. The auctioneer's eyes lit up, and he could not wait to ring. 110 million going once. 110 million going twice. 100 million. The auctioneer paused and stopped what he was doing. He shouted, 110 million. 110 million going once. 110 million going twice. 110 million going thrice. So, congratulations to guest number 8448 for winning the high-level Holy Chi Earthly Treasure, Flywheel Ring. The auctioneer enthusiastically announced the result, and everyone's eyes turned to Lin Feng. At this time, Lin Feng, who was hidden under the mask, was also a little shocked. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. No way. He bought just like that. Chapter 512. Requirements. Lin Feng quickly understood. High requirements meant powerful attacks, but at the same time, it was a double-edged sword. After all, not everyone met the requirements, especially since there were not many sacred power cultivators. First-tier sacred power in fetus week, or second-tier sacred power in child week. The former could be said to be extremely difficult. It was quite difficult to obtain first-tier sacred chi, let alone first-tier sacred power, because sacred power was invisible. Only the latter condition was more reliable. First tier sacred power in Child Week, there should be a high possibility of achieving it, but at that level, there should not be much interest in high-level sacred power treasures. First-tier sacred power treasures and perfect sacred power treasures were what sacred power cultivators in Child Week wanted. They were thirsty for knowledge. Even sky-class treasures. No wonder the auctioneer introduced it so grandly and with so much effort. Lin Feng smiled. It was because the requirements were too high that it could not be sold. In fact, there are many like this on Earth. The worse the product, the harder it was to sell it, so the salesperson would spit out saliva and spare no effort to promote it. Really good things did not need to be advertised too much. People would understand its value. But Phelan Huan was actually not bad. For other sacred power cultivators, it may be of little value, but for me, it is perfect. Lin Feng was very satisfied. Although he was not sure if he could get Phelan Huan, he still bid with his best conditions. 1 million and 10 million increments were the most common. So if he increased the price by 100 million, the opponent might increase it to 130 million, or let him win. But there was also a great possibility that the opponent would increase it to 110 million to balance his bottom line. An additional 8 million would increase the chance of success by 20 to 30%. It was worth it, because the real value of Phelan Huan was more than 500 million Nemo dollars. Lost in the East, gained in the West. For Lin Feng, this was the best description of this auction. Although he only had 1 million Nemo dollars left, Lin Feng did not care. Even if he was hundreds of millions of Nemo dollars in debt, it was worth it. Moreover, if he did not buy a high-value item, 1 million Nemo dollars, it was actually quite a lot. That day, Li Han, who was in level 2 Qiyun, the city guard commander's monthly salary was only 100 Nemo dollars. 6th level of the Qi cloud stage. It would be good if he could earn 1,000 Nemo coins a month. He wouldn't be able to earn 5 million Nemo coins in a lifetime. Lin Feng didn't participate in the following auctions. The truth was that even if he wanted to participate, he didn't have the strength to bid. He only had 1 million Nemo coins in his pocket. However, Lin Feng was not bored. He looked at the treasures in his memories one by one. Spirit fruits of heaven and earth. Medicinal pills, carvings, great formations, and so on were all taken into consideration and auctioned off for a corresponding price. It was equivalent to a solid lesson. Treasures from a Nemo star. Learn more. The final 3 treasures caused a frenzied bidding war, especially the VIP room on the top floor. The bidding price directly increased by billions, and the smell of gunpowder was very strong. Money. As expected, it's just a mere worldly possession. When Lin Feng saw that the last item was sold for 108 billion, he sighed with emotion. It was a humanoid fruit from the Nirvana world, a fruit very similar to the legendary ginseng fruit on Earth. After eating it, it could increase the bloodline purity in all aspects. In short, it was a small increase in the percentage of the brain region, or the talent soul, earth soul, and wisdom soul. There were only 3 words for it. Perfect body. As for the other 2 finale treasures, one could transform the 5-element metal aptitude, and the other was a heaven-grade treasure. Although they weren't as expensive as the humanoid fruit, they were still sold for 75 billion and 83 billion Nemo coins respectively. No wonder Ao Jianhui, a Nemo powerhouse, coveted the 5-tailed snow fox so much. Lin Feng had a deeper understanding now. According to the price of the treasures in this auction, the value of the 5-tailed snow fox was probably less than 1 trillion Nemo coins. A truly priceless treasure. Nemo Star is the same as Earth. When money reaches a certain level, it's just a number. The key is still the powerhouse and strength. Private Hall level. Congratulations, young sect master. Congratulations, young sect master. With this anthropoid fruit, young sect master will definitely be able to attain a perfect body and enter the path of a Nemean expert. Young sect master's name will be like thunder on the glorious stars list. There was a lot of flattery. The disciples and guards of the Nirvana sect, led by Li Jun, all cheered. Ao Lin's face glowed with satisfaction. It's a pity that we didn't get the 10,000 U spider. There wasn't much of a pity in his sigh. After all, A.O. Lin had two heaven-grade treasures that weren't common even to Nemo powerhouses. One more wouldn't increase his strength by much. However, the humanoid fruit was different. A.O. Lin's bloodline wasn't pure enough, and his aptitude wasn't high enough. It was a chance to change his fate. A perfect body and an imperfect body were on two different levels on Nemo's star. By the way, haven't you found that Chinese kid yet? A.O. Lin looked at Li Jun this. Cold sweat broke out on Li Jun's forehead. A.O. Lin snorted and sneered disdainfully. Let's go. We'll pay the price at the auction house and get the anthropoid fruit. Then, we'll take our time to deal with this Lin Feng. He won't be able to escape from my grasp. He turned around and left. Even after getting the humanoid fruit, A.O. Lin still coveted the five-tailed snow fox. If the two were to be compared, the anthropoid fruit was just a full meal, but the five-tailed snow fox was an extremely sumptuous feast. At the auction house, Lin Feng paid the rest of the money, and the high-grade sacred force earth treasure, the flywheel gem, was officially in his hands. 110 million Nemo coins. That's too good. Lin Feng didn't study in detail. He put the flywheel gem into his interspatial ring. Send the letter. Go to the agreed place and wait for them. Lin Feng walked out of the auction house. Some things weren't easy to say. No matter how many reasons one could use to reject someone, it was always cruel. Therefore, he had already written a letter to the Zhu siblings and Vice Manor Head Chi. He had them deliver it to them before he left. One of the letters was for Lan Xinyan. Parting in person was too depressing, especially for someone as smart as Goddess Wakaman. Lan Xinyan might reveal her flaws when she was sad. There was no need. As for Thunderbolt Palace, they had already agreed on the location. Crane Tower. Hidden in the city, this unique tower was suitable for scholars to drink tea. It was inconspicuous. This place is hidden and hard to find. Lin Feng looked at the small pavilion at the end of the street and smiled indifferently. I wonder if Elder Shun, Brother Wang, and the others have arrived. As he stepped in, the rich aroma of tea greeted him. Lin Feng was about to go up to the second floor when his eyes flashed and he stopped. Something was wrong. To be continued. Chapter 513. The atmosphere wasn't right. Lin Feng was no stranger to tea houses. Restaurants had the atmosphere of restaurants, and tea houses had the atmosphere of tea houses. Most of the people who liked tea were refined scholars. It was normal for them to dance and recite poems. However, the few tables in Crane Cry restaurant were just chatting casually, as if they were talking about their daily lives. It wasn't a big deal. However, there were rules for drinking tea. Although Lin Feng wasn't a tea lover, he knew a thing or two about them. This group of people drank tea like they were drinking plain water. One or two might be exceptions, but more than half of the cultivators were like this. It was somewhat unusual. There was also the most obvious characteristic. In such a huge tea house, there were nearly 100 guests, but their auras, all of them exuded a bloodthirsty aura that came from their bones. Fetus Week. The Eastcom Army. Almost instantly, this term appeared in Lin Feng's mind. On the way to East Spirit City, he had clashed with the Eastcom Army more than 10 times. He was very clear about the Eastcom Army's characteristics. When fighting demons and fiends, the Eastcom Army's soldiers more or less carried a murderous aura. They were bloodthirsty from years of war. Their auras and feelings couldn't be hidden. From the looks of it, they came prepared. Lin Feng's expression didn't change, but his heart had already calmed down. Revenge? That's not right. If the Eastcom Army wanted revenge, they would have done it when I entered East Spirit City. Not to mention, I'm already in Crane Cry restaurant. There's no need for them to put on an act and treat me like nothing. Lin Feng slowed down slightly, but he didn't stop. His gaze landed on the second floor. From the looks of it, the main culprit is on the second floor. What a good move of waiting for an opportunity. Lin Feng chose to continue. There were nearly 100 Eastcom Army soldiers on the first floor. Although there were no Fetus Week experts, there were 5 Fetus Week 9-stage soldiers and 15 Fetus Week 8-stage soldiers. Just these 20 Eastcom Army soldiers were enough to deal with him. Furthermore, the other Eastcom Army soldiers were almost all Fetus Week 6th and 7th stage soldiers. There were even a few fetus-weak, fifth-stage soldiers. Breakout. There was a chance. However, it still depended on the strength of the main culprit on the second floor. If I break out on the first floor, as long as I'm slightly obstructed, the main culprit on the second floor will arrive. However, it won't be easy for the Eastcom soldiers on the first floor to come up if they want to break out of the encirclement on the second floor. Moreover, it's easier to escape up than down. With every step that Lin Feng took, he was carefully analyzing the situation in his heart. This was a matter of life and death. The more information and advantages he accumulated, the greater his chances of survival. Opportunity. It only took an instant. Step, step, step. Lin Feng's footsteps were light and calm. As they slowly entered the second floor of the spacious space, a cool breeze blew in their faces. The attic of the Crane Cry Tower was unobstructed on all sides. All of their auras and faces were unreservedly formed into a black picture in his mind. There were 16 white dots on the black screen. The 14 of them formed a semicircle. The ring was centered behind the 2 white dots. There were 2 in the 8th rank of the fetus week and 5 in the 7th rank of the fetus week. Of the 14 white dots, the rest were fetus 6. As for the 2 white dots in the middle, one of them was the strongest at the 9th level of the embryonic week, just like a guard commander. The other was at the 4th level of the embryonic week. It couldn't be any more familiar. It's him. Lin Feng naturally recognized A.O. Lin. With his status, he mobilized the Eastcom army to take revenge on him. He was indeed very motivated. There's no hidden aura. The moment Lin Feng entered the second floor, he had already memorized the entire second floor's terrain. The location was all imprinted in his mind. The only thing he was afraid of was an enemy hidden in the dark was the most terrifying. As for the enemy on the surface, that was all. Ha ha! He laughed wantonly. Upon seeing Lin Feng appear, A.O. Lin didn't hide his joy. From his point of view, Lin Feng was like a turtle in a jar, completely trapped. His Nemo planet disciples were above, and Eastcom soldiers were below. Lin Feng had no way out. Not only was his life in A.O. Lin's hands, but half of the 5-tailed snow fox had also fallen into his hands. However, Lin Feng's figure suddenly disappeared. Screech! In the blink of an eye, the sound of something breaking through the air shook the entire pavilion. A shining pearl, accompanied by a golden dragon's roar, descended in an instant. Li Jun's shocked voice rang in A.O. Lin's ears. A.O. Lin's reaction couldn't be described as slow. The heaven-grade armor melted into his body, instantly forming the strongest defense. Whoosh! A wave of water surged up. The power of a heaven-grade treasure couldn't be underestimated. The endless waves formed a whirlpool of water, directly about to swallow the golden dragon's roar. A.O. Lin's eyes lit up as he cursed inwardly. He didn't expect Lin Feng to directly attack without saying anything. However, the more this happened, the more his guess was confirmed. This kid was hiding something. Could he block it? Although the pearl was small, it was full of power. Dragon Abyssal Pearl. Using the 6th level of the True Dragon Saint power, it was definitely Lin Feng's strongest killing move. In the face of such a helpless situation, he could only rely on himself. Screech! 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 The other 8 Dragon Abyssal Pearls erupted with power at the same time. The entire Crane Cry Tower was shaken. The Divine Nirvana Sect disciples led by Li Jun were completely caught off guard. But even if they were prepared, with their strength, they couldn't block the terrifying power of the Dragon Abyssal Pearls. This had already surpassed the power of a 9th stage attack. Bang! A violent explosion rang out. The only one who wasn't killed by the Dragon Abyssal Pearls was A.O. Lin, who had a heaven-grade holy artifact. Even so, the whirlpool of water in front of A.O. Lin was completely scattered. The powerful impact made A.O. Lin vomit blood and retreat, his internal organs churning violently. This move shocked everyone in the Divine Nirvana Sect. 2-stage 8 powerhouses and 5-stage 7 powerhouses, including Li Jun, were all killed in an instant. A.O. Lin was heavily injured. Purple Lightning Third Strike, Thunder Hell. Lin Feng didn't hesitate and instantly erupted. The lightning dragon roared, and the blade energy filled the sky. The profound intent of thunder sank, causing the lightning to disperse, directly forcing the remaining 7 sixth-stage Nirvana sect disciples to retreat. Time difference. At the same time, the huge power of the thunder hell shattered the corpses of the 8 divine Nirvana sect experts who were just shot by the dragon abyssal pearls. Lin Feng used the true, holy power, and pairs of invisible hands in the air collected the 8 dragon abyssal pearls. Lin Feng's footsteps weren't slow either. Straight for A.O. Lin. There was no need to waste words, and there was no need to ask too many reasons. If he wanted to kill him, then strike first and gain the upper hand. Purple lightning, 9th strike. Lin Feng was like a fierce tiger pouncing on its prey, unleashing his strongest power against a 4th-stage Nirvana sect expert who couldn't even unleash the power of a heaven-stage treasure. Divine Thunder Demon, shocking heavenly punishment. Fusion of the profound intent of darkness. Dark Devour. Bang! Bang! The heaven-stage armor on A.O. Lin's body was protected by layers of water, and whirlpools constantly appeared. However, the damage from the Dragon Abyssal Pearls didn't have time to recover. At this time, streams of dark holy chi poured in, devouring the water. A.O. Lin's horrified expression was filled with fear. At this moment, he saw the arrival of the Grim Reaper. He saw the Jinglan mountain range. The young man who was once like an ant under his feet was now waving his ice-cold blade, bringing with him the light of death. Chi. The water was destroyed and the defense shattered. A.O. Lin dead. Chapter 514. It was an unbelievable scene. It happened too quickly and too tragically. Less than 2 seconds had passed. Young sect master. Young sect master. Shock cries rang out. The 7 Nirvana sect disciples who had been blasted away by Lin Feng's saber energy panicked. At this time, the EastCom soldiers had already rushed up the stairs, and the wooden planks on the 2nd floor were smashed into pieces. Bang! 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 A large number of EastCom soldiers rushed over to rescue them. But it was too late. Boom! Lin Feng's attack was extremely ruthless. He didn't show any mercy and directly killed A.O. Lin. Violent energy surged in and directly shattered his body. Pa! 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 Dragon Abyssal Pearl, a heaven-grade armor, a heaven-grade sword, A.O. Lin's combat boots, and an interspatial ring appeared. A pair of invisible hands flashed through the air. Lin Feng jumped out of the Crane Cry Tower's window, and everything about A.O. Lin disappeared without a trace. Killing and robbing. Lin Feng did it cleanly and cleanly. In any case, their enmity was as deep as the sea. So what if there's more? Chase! Don't let him escape. Quick, go and inform the city lord. It was chaos. The EastCom soldiers on the 1st floor chased after him. Many of them lit signal flares and shot them into the sky. With the crane tower as the center, it was like a layer of ripples that quickly spread out, causing great chaos in East Spirit City. Something big happened. A.O. Jianhui, the only son of the Nirvana sect's young sect master. A.O. Lin was dead. Run. Although he had killed A.O. Lin, the situation was still worrying for Lin Feng. The EastCom soldiers chased after him, their auras firmly locked onto him. The Dragon Abyssal Pearl Chain was the main reason he could break out of the encirclement in such a short time. Even without the EastCom soldiers below, it wasn't easy to defeat A.O. Lin and the other Nirvana sect disciples with saber arts alone. But now, there are too many people. Lin Feng was shocked. He could instantly kill 9 EastCom soldiers with the Dragon Abyssal Pearl. But it was far from enough. There were 15 auras locked onto him. Among them, 4 were at the 9th level during the fetus week, 11 were at the 8th level during the fetus week, and 11 were at the 7th level during the fetus week. Right now, he had already been shaken off. Stopping the battle would only make the situation worse. I have to deal with this as soon as possible. Lin Feng's eyes flashed coldly. The longer this dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. The EastCom Army's signal flare had already been ignited. The EastCom Army and the entire East Spirit City's defenses had been mobilized. Even Zizou's experts have been mobilized. Once he was caught, there was only death waiting for him. In the magic city of Wayner, he was able to save his life from Zhuazitong. But if he killed the junior sect master of the god Nirvana sect, he wouldn't be able to survive. 15. Lin Feng pursed his lips, and the dragon abyssal beads were already glowing. He couldn't just sit and wait for death. Got it. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. In an instant, the true dragon Saint Power broke through A.O. Lin's storage ring. Amidst the loud shout, a rain of Nemo coins instantly fell from the sky. The densely packed Nemo coins, each with a denomination of 10,000, fell with the wind. Accompanied by the rain of Nemo coins were countless treasures. Top-grade earth treasures, perfect earth treasures, all kinds of heaven and earth holy fruits, precious pills. There were even Heart Sutra martial arts manuals of the god Nirvana sect. And humanoid fruit. Lin Feng shouted. It was a humanoid fruit that looked like a ginseng fruit. In the end, it landed like the finale. This treasure, which had just won the highest price in the auction and exceeded 100 billion Nemo coins, was clearly imprinted in the eyes of every Eastcom soldier. Shock, shock, disbelief. The Eastcom soldiers chasing Lin Feng were all stunned by the rain of Nemo coins in front of them. In an instant, mine. Why are you snatching it? Get lost. These are all mine. Bang, bang. Raging flames lit up the eyes of every Eastcom soldier. It was greed. It was incomparable ambition. As the young sect master of the god Nirvana sect, every item in A.O. Lin's storage ring was precious and rare, especially the Heart Sutra martial arts manuals of the god Nirvana sect. They couldn't be bought even with money. The humanoid fruit alone was worth 108 billion Nemo coins. How could these Eastcom soldiers not go crazy? People die for money, birds die for food. It had been the same since ancient times. The strongest rank 9 Eastcom soldiers earned less than 1 million Nemo coins a month. Now, as long as they reached out and grabbed it, they could easily get 10 times or 100 times the reward. Capture Lin Feng? It was none of their business. Whoosh! Taking advantage of the chaos, Lin Feng fled. The 9 dragon abyssal pearls in his hand flickered and dimmed. Lin Feng's lips curled into a smile. He had survived a disaster. It went smoother than expected. Lin Feng was very satisfied with the result. He originally thought that he would use up a few dragon abyssal pearls, but he didn't expect the Eastcom soldiers to react so strongly. Between them and A.O. Lin, it was more about benefits and employment. At most, there were some orders and promotion from the city lord. How could it compare to the huge benefits in front of them? As long as he could steal 100 million Nemo coins, it didn't matter if he didn't have the identity of an Eastcom soldier. Moreover, A.O. Lin's wealth was hundreds of billions. However, to him, even 10 humanoid fruits were inferior to 1 dragon abyssal pearl. Moreover, he had to be careful if there were any sensory-type treasures or jade in A.O. Lin's storage ring. Blindly greedy would only result in more losses than gains. As long as there was life, even if there was no firewood. Now it has just begun. Lin Feng's expression was solemn as he heard the loud noise in East Spirit City. City Lord's mansion. Chase. Go after him immediately. Mobilize all the Eastcom soldiers and search the city. I'd rather kill the wrong person than let him go. East Spirit City Lord's eyes were burning with rage, but if one looked closely, one could see a trace of fear in the depths of his eyes. It wouldn't matter if the one who died was just an ordinary embryonic stage expert, but the one who died was the divine Nirvana sect's young sect master. A.O. Jianwei's only son, A.O. Lin. Everyone knew how much A.O. Lin loved A.O. Lin. He used all his resources to nurture this one son, turning A.O. Lin's ordinary bloodline talent into a dragon among men. In the end now, he died in East Spirit City. It's over. Losing the City Lord's position is a small matter, but the divine Nirvana sect might take their anger out on us. Cold sweat broke out on East Spirit City Lord's forehead. As a 9th stage cultivator, he knew the divine Nirvana sect's background. Whether it was the 33 continents or the Nirvana world, they were powerful existences. The Nirvana world's A.O. family was an ancient family. Frowning, East Spirit City Lord let out a long sigh and clenched his fists. This matter couldn't be delayed. Men, follow me to the East Extreme Palace. East Spirit City Lord didn't dare to delay. He walked out of the City Lord's mansion. He needed help. Chapter 5:15. The entire city was on high alert and jittery. One sub-weekly expert after another flew above East Spirit City. Eastcom Army troops searched outside the city. East Spirit City city gates were completely sealed and tightly sealed. The defense was so tight that even a mosquito wouldn't be able to fly out. Did you hear? A.O. Lin, the young sect master of the god Nirvana sect, was killed. Hey, who did it? That's the second largest sect in the 33 continents. A young Chinese man named Lin Feng. He's quite powerful. He's already a perfect body at such a young age. You didn't see the scene. I heard that he killed A.O. Lin like cutting vegetables. Even the other disciples of the god Nirvana sect were killed. Blood flowed like a river. Lin Feng strolled on the street. A great hermit hid in the city, concealing his aura in the crowd. Unless it was an expert who had come into contact with his aura, it was impossible to be discovered. When it came to tracking and escaping, Lin Feng was already extremely familiar with it. Places with few people were dangerous, and there was nothing to hide in the air. The Eastcom Army search is quite intense this time. Lin Feng looked up and could see the experts of the first week like dots of light. Ever since his identity was exposed, the Eastcom Army had sent many experts of the first week to search the sky. If he had relied on his perfect body's uniqueness and his innate soul to fly, he would have most likely been caught. There was no way to hide his aura in the air. There was nothing to hide in the air. I have to think of a way to find a place where I can't hide my identity and wait for things to calm down. Lin Feng thought to himself. Hiding in the city was not without its dangers. As the saying goes, 100 secrets can lead to a careless mistake. Although East Spirit City was large, it didn't mean it was 100% safe. Naturally, he couldn't return to Thunderbolt Palace, including the absolute Saber Manor and 100 refining Saber Valley. Although the three major sects were strong, they were still lacking compared to the god Nirvana sect. No matter how talented he was, they might not necessarily offend the god Nirvana sect for him. There were too many uncontrollable factors in this. Even more so, he had entrusted his fate to others. Lin Feng wasn't willing. Moreover, only I know the location of the Crane Cry Tower. The three from Thunderbolt Palace know. Lin Feng walked among the crowd of peddlers, his eyes sharp. Now that he had calmed down, he could make a clear judgment. With A.O. Lin's attitude, the Eastcom Army was waiting for him. All of this clearly indicated that game. This was a trap to invite him into the trap. After all, it was only the blink of an eye for him to go from the auction house to the Crane Tower. However, A.O. Lin had already taken care of everything. It would be too far-fetched to say that this was a coincidence and a last-minute arrangement. Someone betrayed me, Lin Feng concluded. Perhaps one person, perhaps two people, or perhaps all three people from the Thunderbolt Palace. Elder Shun Qian, Protector Luo Yunling, and the second son of the Thunderbolt Palace's helm, Wang Liao. In name, for profit, or for some other reason that I don't know. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. He had to repay the favor. He had to take revenge even more. I will definitely find out. East Pole Palace. Lin Feng? City Lord. Are you sure it's him? Hong Liang was stunned. Definitely. East Spirit City's City Lord's eyes flashed coldly. The disciples of the Nirvana sect have already told me the whole story. He violated the law, killed people for their goods, and colluded with demons. This Lin Feng treats our East Spirit City as nothing. How infuriating! Hong Dao couldn't react for a moment. He was naturally familiar with Lin Feng. He had almost succeeded in recruiting him. If what the City Lord said was true, he killed A.O. Lin and Li Jun. He killed 9 experts with an average of stage 8 in one move. Lin Feng's strength was too terrifying. I misjudged him. Hong Dao sighed inwardly. Although he already had a high opinion of Lin Feng, he didn't expect that his potential and strength were several levels higher than he had expected. But now, it was too late to say anything. Now, they were enemies, not friends. City Lord, please follow me, Hong Dao said seriously. Not only was he one of the 4 lords under the City Lord, but he was also in charge of East Spirit City's taxes. He was also in charge of East Spirit City's external affairs. The City Lord's expression was solemn. We must capture Lin Feng as soon as possible. Otherwise, when A.O. Jianwei arrives, we will be in big trouble. The East Spirit Palace will definitely help the City Lord. Hong Dao's eyes sparkled. As long as he is still in East Spirit City, I guarantee that he will appear. There is nowhere to hide. Hong Dao was full of confidence. With the East Spirit Palace's golden signboard. It's the last 3 days. Yeah, I really want to join the treasure refining sect. Who doesn't want to? It's not that easy. To become an apprentice, you have to pass 3 tests. Many people have taken a test in the last 10 days, but the passing rate is less than 1 in 10,000. It's too cruel. That's an iron rice bowl. You can also learn a skill. How can the competition not be cruel? Lin Feng listened to the voices around him. He was hesitating about what to do next. He couldn't help but have a thought. Why not go to the treasure refining sect? Among the 5 superpowers, the strongest were the treasure refining sect and the blood tower. In the Nirvana world, the blood tower was more powerful than the treasure refining sect. However, in the 33 continents, the treasure refining sect was worthy of being called a giant. In terms of wealth, they were even more powerful than the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. In terms of combat power, they had a large number of experts under their command. What was a superpower? In the 33 continents, it was even more powerful than the sects and clans. The treasure refining sect not only has a large number of people, but it also has prestige. Outsiders are not allowed to enter the treasure refining sect's base. This is especially true for the treasure refining sect. It is completely confidential. If I can become an apprentice, it would be a good idea. Lin Feng thought to himself. After careful consideration and analyzing the pros and cons, he decided to give it a try. There are always risks in everything. I wonder how Xin Yan is. Lin Feng was a little worried. He followed the crowd toward the treasure refining sect's base. East Spirit City was huge. It was very difficult to find someone who was deliberately hiding in the city. Lin Feng wasn't worried about himself. Instead, he was worried about Lan Xinyan. The reason for that was because his identity had been exposed. Fortunately, I entrusted her to the Celestial Pavilion. Lin Feng felt lucky. If Lan Xinyan had joined the Red Lotus Sword sect, she would have suffered an unexpected calamity. However, the Celestial Pavilion was above all the other sections. The goddess Wakaman was a transcendent existence who could kill a heaven demon expert. She was at the top of the brilliant star ranking. The nobler and prouder a sect was, the more intolerable it was, and the more they cared about their reputation. She might not care about relationships, but she definitely cares about her reputation, especially the reputation of the Celestial Pavilion. Lin Feng nodded. This was the only thing he could do now. At this point, the situation was already out of his control. Huff! Lin Feng sighed softly. He had been vigilantly observing his surroundings. Suddenly, he casually glanced at the depths of the alley. There was an old shop with broken windows. Lin Feng was slightly stunned. He looked at the slightly crooked signboard above the shop and stood there in a daze. Wanqian Pawn Shop, Lin Feng murmured. Chapter 516. It had been 4 days since he arrived at East Spirit City. Lin Feng had inquired about the location of Wanqian Pawn Shop several times, but to no avail. Especially after parting with Lan Xinyan and leaving the private hall, he searched for a while, but Wanqian Pawn Shop's existence was like a gust of wind. He did not know where it went. Broken Mountain City, a rotten sect. How many challenges do you think you will face here? How much training do you think you will have? You, who are so mediocre, muddling through and enjoying peace. I look down on you. That day, the mysterious black-clothed man's words were still clear. He had met the mysterious black-clothed man twice at the city gate of Changyang Mountain and outside Blue Moon Prefecture. If you understand, take this crystal jade to Wanqian Pawn Shop in East Spirit City. Don't make me look down on you again. Lin Feng stretched out his right hand. Swoosh! Then a red intricately engraved ruby jade appeared. Just this small piece of ruby jade was worth 5 million Nemo dollars. The generous offer, the mysterious identity, and an invisible call. Lin Feng looked at Wan Qian pawn shop, which looked like a dilapidated temple, and walked over. Everything was destined to be like this. The pawn shop was not big, just like what he had seen outside. The moment Lin Feng entered, he could see the entire pawn shop. Basically, if two people stood side by side and stretched out their hands, they could touch the wall. It was a light, gray stone wall that had been there for countless years. Separated by a stone railing, there was a sleeping old man on the counter with his head drooping. On the counter, there were a few account books and an abacus. Sleepy voices rose and fell one after another, just like the signboard outside the door. Wan Qian pawn shop's business was quite poor. However, Lin Feng's expression was extremely solemn. The sleeping old man in front of him was definitely not ordinary. I can't sense his aura. Lin Feng was quite shocked. Even an ordinary person could sense his aura. However, the old man in front of him was like a dead person, as if he did not exist. Perfect body? Even if they were perfect bodies, they could still vaguely sense each other. Lin Feng had met Goddess Wakaman before. Her aura was strong and mysterious. It was hidden to the extreme, but the connection between perfect bodies still existed. "Hello, Senior," Lin Feng said respectfully. Huff, huff, the little old man was snoring like thunder. He was in deep sleep. "Elder," Lin Feng asked again. He still didn't wake up the little old man. His eyes flickered. Given his voice, no matter how soundly asleep he was, he should have been woken up by it. However, the senior before him continued to do as he pleased. It seemed like there was a deeper meaning behind his actions. Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry. He stood there, looking at the old man and waiting patiently. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Oh, the little old man yawned and raised his head with sleepy eyes. He opened his eyes tiredly and squinted at Lin Feng. "I can't even take a nap in peace. What do you want to pawn? Bring it up." "Yes, Senior." Lin Feng took out the red shwed jade and placed it on the counter. The faint engravings reflected the red color. The little old man's lips curled into a faint smile. He didn't take the red shwed jade. Instead, he looked over lazily. "A perfect body of the 6th level of the Qi Cloud Realm. Huh, you're Lin Feng of the Chinese?" His calm words made Lin Feng's heart tremble. It was as if there were no more secrets in his body. It was just as he had guessed. The little old man in front of him was definitely not ordinary. He had seen some strong people, such as Elder Xin Qian of the 9th level of the Qi Cloud Realm, Goddess Wakaman of the 1st place on the Glorious Stars list, and even Ao Jianhui, who had a deep hatred for him. But no one who could be compared to this little old man. The only one who could be compared to him was the equally unfathomable Witch Yinzi, who was like a bottomless pit. "Yes, Senior." Lin Feng didn't hesitate. Since he had been seen through, there was no need to pretend. "Aren't you afraid that I'll catch you? Take the bounty?" The little old man narrowed his eyes. "How much is the bounty?" Lin Feng asked. The little old man thought for a moment. "I think it's 1 billion Nemo coins," Lin Feng smiled. "My life is too worthless." The little old man laughed. "Dongbai is too stingy. The life of the young sect master of the Nirvana God sect is not worth 1 billion. 1 trillion Nemo coins? Lin Feng smiled bitterly. The little old man narrowed his eyes. Ao Jianhui invested more than 1 trillion Nemo coins just for his son. He gave up his position as a bastard son and came to the 33 continents to be a sect master. He lost his future, status, and future. These things can't be measured with money. Now that you've killed his son, he's probably so angry that he can slaughter the entire East Spirit City. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that things were more serious than he had thought. It made sense. Ao Lin had spent hundreds of billions on a humanoid fruit, and his heaven greatsword and armor were all treasures worth hundreds of billions. By the way, Lin Feng, where the hell are you Chinese people? The little old man asked curiously. With a powerful bloodline and a perfect body, it's impossible for such a race to be unknown. I'm considered knowledgeable. I've traveled through the 33 continents, but I've never seen the Chinese. Strong bloodline? Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He didn't seem to have any bloodline power. How could his bloodline be strong? Maybe it's because of my martial souls? Lin Feng pondered. On second thought, the 7 martial souls might also be a kind of bloodline power. His physique was much stronger than humans of the same level on Nemo. In the far east, Lin Feng replied. The east. The little old man scratched his head. Blood Shadow said so too. Is it true, Blood Shadow? Lin Feng stared blankly at the little old man. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Blood Shadow was also a Chinese? There were so many human races in the 33 continents that it was normal to have a race with the same name. However, he didn't know Blood Shadow, and Blood Shadow certainly didn't know him. Since they were both Chinese, there was no need to explain further. Well, the little old man sized up Lin Feng. His small eyes were like a mirror trying to see through Lin Feng. He murmured, "Not bad, not bad. Good judgment, good patience. Bloodline, aptitude, and ability are all good. Newborn calves aren't afraid of tigers, and they don't show any mercy when killing people. Very good. This old man is very satisfied. Lin Feng, you're qualified. Come with me." The little old man revealed a satisfied smile. In an instant, Lin Feng felt as if the world was spinning. A pair of invisible hands grabbed him, and the power was as strong as the sky. The scene in front of him changed so quickly that he couldn't even see a shadow. Lin Feng widened his eyes and heard the sound of wind. In a flash, he was plunged into darkness. It was extremely shocking. The little old man's strength was so terrifying. "Senior, where are we going?" Lin Feng's heart raced. "Huh?" The little old man laughed. "Why are you asking so much? Just squint. You'll know when we get there." To be continued. Chapter 517. Whoosh! Lin Feng looked around hard. His dynamic vision was amazing, and now that his strength had improved greatly, it should not be difficult for him to see his surroundings clearly. However, the speed of the little old man was too fast, so fast that it was beyond the limit of his vision. Even so, Lin Feng still did not give up. Failure was a truly rare experience. Whoosh, whoosh, the wind and cranes sounded in his ears. After an unknown amount of time, the speed of the little old man gradually slowed down. Only then did Lin Feng see his surroundings clearly. This was a dim place, and the sound of dripping constantly entered his ears. Lin Feng was surprised. He could not detect the aura, as if it was wrapped in some kind of power. Soon, whoosh, there was a glimmer of hope, and his eyes lit up. What entered his eyes was a vast and dark area. There was a faint light that was enough for him to see things. It was about the size of several football fields. The little old man stopped. Lin Feng's feet landed on the ground, and he looked at the open land. There was nothing, only a huge engraved array in the middle. Earth's holy crystal array. Lin Feng's heart moved. It was very similar. The thin and colorless shield flashed with the energy of the holy crystal, and the clear engravings fell into the holy crystal array like a mysterious pattern, shining with mysterious colors. Lin Feng was about to ask when suddenly, in the center of the holy crystal array, an illusory and transparent figure flashed. "This is..." Lin Feng was stunned. In just an instant, in the center of the holy crystal array, a masked man in black appeared. His eyes were like an eagle's, and his whole body was emitting a murderous aura. His whole person was like an unsheathed saber, fierce and fearless. Catching a glimpse of the little old man, the man in black's eagle-like eyes instantly lit up, and his figure disappeared. Whoosh! The eagle-like man appeared 3 meters in front of the little old man, bowing and cupping his hands. "Warhawk greets Lord Guide." "Lord Guide?" Lin Feng's expression did not change, and he remembered it in his heart. This little old man's background was indeed not small. The eagle-like man in front of him was definitely an expert in the upper stages of the Zizhou realm, but he was still very respectful to him. "Hey, little eagle, didn't you just come back?" The little old man said, "You've only rested for 2 days, and you're going to carry out another mission?" "Yes. Sir Guide, this subordinate is in urgent need of blood kill points." Warhawk replied. The old man nodded. You're quite diligent. What's a mission this time? Warhawk replied. Wang Bay of the East Pole Palace. Oh, black-faced man Jun Wang Hui, Zizhou rank 9. He spends most of his time in the extreme East Palace. It won't be easy to kill him. The old man said, although this is a 6-blood mission, its difficulty is comparable to a 7-blood mission. It has been released for 10 days. 7-blood assassins don't like to take it, while 6-blood assassins take it. Why would you take it? Warhawk replied, that's true at first, but I heard there was a huge upheaval in East Spirit City. The young sect master of the Nirvana God sect was assassinated. City Lord Dong Bai paid a visit to Wang Qi, who had already mobilized the manpower of the extreme East Palace to hunt down the murderer. Thanks to the villain, Wang Tuo finally showed himself. As long as he's not hiding in the extreme East Palace, killing him is just a matter of convenience. He spoke casually, but there was a hint of pride and confidence in his words. Lin Feng's heart was shaken. A Zizhou rank 9 expert of the extreme East Palace seemed like he couldn't even withstand a single blow from this Warhawk. However, he could tell that Warhawk wasn't bragging. The confidence and killing intent emanating from his bones were enough to prove it. Huh. The old man laughed loudly. This mission is completed. Little Eagle, you have one more person to thank. As he spoke, the old man glanced at Lin Feng. Warhawk also looked over, his eyes shining. A perfect body at the 6th stage of Qi Cloud. He was the one who killed the young sect master of the Nirvana God sect. Reaction speed. Quite fast. The old man nodded. He's a newcomer recommended by Blood Shadow. Take good care of him. All right. Warhawk glanced at Lin Feng curiously. I didn't expect Blood Shadow to recommend someone. However, this newcomer seems pretty good. He's already an assassin at such a young age. He even dared to kill the junior sect master of the Nirvana sect. Admirable, admirable. As he spoke, Warhawk laughed dryly. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Warhawk then turned to the old man and said respectfully, Go. The old man waved his hand. Warhawk nodded. A black light flashed, and he left in an instant. Lin Feng was left behind. His mind was in a mess. The amount of information he had just received was huge. The essence of an assassin. He vaguely understood where he was, but that wasn't important. What was important was a name. Blood Shadow. I was recommended by Blood Shadow. Lin Feng's heart trembled. He didn't reveal too much to the envoy. He only handed over the red Shui jade that the mysterious man in black gave him that day. In other words, the envoy deduced that he was recommended by Blood Shadow from the red Shui jade. The mysterious man in black that day was Blood Shadow. Does he know me? Moreover, according to the envoy, Blood Shadow is the same as me, Chinese. Is this a coincidence? Or Lin Feng's expression kept changing. It was hard for him to sort out his thoughts for a while. Countless questions emerged in his mind. The old man looked at Lin Feng. Warhawk is a 6-blood assassin. It's always good to have someone to guide a newcomer. I know you have a lot of questions right now, but don't worry. You'll understand soon enough. To be honest, Lin Feng, you killed the junior sect master of the Nirvana sect. There aren't many forces in the 33 continents that can protect you. Your luck is pretty good. Other forces might be wary of AO, Janwei, and the Nirvana sect, but we're not afraid. Patting Lin Feng's shoulder, the old man said, Let's go. St. Crystal Formation. Stepping into the center of the formation, a mysterious power rose up spontaneously. Countless pillars of light rose from all directions. The little old man stood outside the St. Crystal array with his eyes narrowed and his arms crossed in front of his chest. As the light pillar became more and more intense, the aura isolation became deeper and deeper. Lin Feng's eyes fell on the little old man outside the St. Crystal array and saw him give him a thumbs up. Whoosh! Boundless light enveloped Yi Shiwen. The world spun, and his head buzzed. After what seemed like an instant, but also like a long time, Lin Feng felt his consciousness clear. He opened his eyes and couldn't help but look ahead. This was a blood-red space shrouded in darkness and red light. Huge towers towered in front of him. The atmosphere was solemn. This was a unique space. It's similar to the Great Wall's teleportation formation, Lin Feng thought. He soon understood. The principle was very similar. It was very likely that he had already left East Spirit City. The buildings around him were strange and unique. The air was dense and reeked of blood. Everything here hid a dense, killing intent. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. If I'm not wrong, this should be one of the 5 superpowers. Shuelo. Chapter 518. The Bloody Tower. It was the most mysterious of the 5 superpowers. No one knew where the Bloody Tower was or where the assassins of the Bloody Tower came from. It was a mysterious and powerful force. Among the 5 superpowers in the 33 continents, it was second only to the treasure refining sect. It also retained a strong competitiveness in the Nirvana world. But in fact, Lin Feng had never thought much about the Bloody Tower. After all, he had a psychological rejection of the assassin organization. However, he was not some noble gentleman. He grew up in the commoner district. Ever since he could remember, he knew that the weak were prey to the strong. Lin Feng had never been a soft-hearted person. Gratitude must be repaid, and vengeance must be avenged even more. I didn't expect to join the Bloody Tower. Lin Feng knew that there was no way out. Whether he liked it or not, he had already come to the territory of the Bloody Tower and cut off all his escape routes. In fact, from a pure analysis of interests, joining the Bloody Tower was not necessarily a bad thing. He could not assume that the Blood Tower was a ruthless and bloody place just because of first impressions. The Bloody Tower had its own definition of survival and necessity to be able to stand for so long in the 33 continents and the Nirvana world. And, as the guide said, I'm lucky to join the Bloody Tower at this time. Lin Feng knew it and didn't need to be greedy. Compared with being besieged and hiding in Dongling City, at least now, he was a free man. But, is it over after sending me here? Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If he joined a sect, he would at least be apprenticed. Someone would show him around the sect and arrange his residence. But now, the guide just left him here as if he was going to die. The Bloody Tower. The assassin organization really doesn't act according to common sense. Let's look around first. Lin Feng thought. It was huge. It covered a large area. The energy of heaven and earth is richer here than in the 33 continents. Lin Feng walked aimlessly. From time to time, he could see shadows flying away at an amazing speed. He didn't know whether to stop them or not. After hesitating for a long time, he chose to explore slowly. Anyway, he was not in a hurry. So many towers. Lin Feng looked around. From a moment he entered until now, there were already no less than 10 towers in sight. Each tower was 9 stories tall and shaped like a ladder. They were deeply rooted in the ground. He couldn't sense any aura from the tower. It was completely sealed. The bottom of each tower was about 1,000 meters long and wide, which was quite huge. Why are there lights outside the towers? Lin Feng looked into the distance curiously. The outermost door of the tall tower was flickering with a faint fluorescent light. This was the second tower that he had seen with a fluorescent light. Although he was puzzled, Lin Feng did not enter. If it was an important area of the Blood Tower, it would be troublesome if he accidentally entered. Truly a blind man crossing the river. Lin Feng smiled. Although he was in an unfamiliar place, his mood was very relaxed. Half an hour later, a gust of wind sounded in his ears, and another black shadow sped past him. Lin Feng raised his head and looked in the direction of the black shadow. His heart skipped a beat. Go in this direction. There seems to be a lot of blood assassins gathering there. After hesitating for a moment, Lin Feng immediately changed his direction and went in the direction of the black shadow. He had seen enough of the surrounding scenery. This place was actually very monotonous. Except for the tall towers and some plants, the rest was empty space. The air was filled with a faint blood-red color, which was blurred and illusory. Speed up. Tower number 8. Lin Feng directly passed by it. There was a small number on each tower. If one didn't look carefully, they would miss it. In this place, where there was no sense of direction, the numbered towers were like coordinates that made it easier for them to identify their direction. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 more black shadows sped past. There are more and more people. Lin Feng followed the crowd. He sped up and went to the place where the blood assassins gathered. Oh, Lin Feng stopped. His eyes lit up, and what entered his eyes was a huge palace. It was a blood-red tower. Clusters of blood-red mist were entwined, like blood dragons circling outside the palace. It was solemn and dignified. It was a real colossus. Compared to it, the surrounding towers were much inferior. At the entrance of the blood-red tower, blood assassins entered and exited from time to time. Compared to the empty surroundings, this place was undoubtedly much more lively. What did it do inside? Lin Feng was very curious. Suddenly, he saw a bald young man not far away. His eyes flashed with envy. Oh, this time, Lin Feng couldn't help but be moved. Because this bald young man wasn't dressed in black, nor was he masked. Instead, he was wearing battle armor like him. His temperament lacked the thick bloodlust and murderous aura unique to the blood assassins. You should be like him, who had just entered not long ago. A newcomer. Hello. Lin Feng's figure flashed and directly came to the bald young man's side. He smiled in a friendly manner. Oh, hello. The bald young man came back to his senses and nodded. My name is Lin Feng. I just came here, Lin Feng said. The bald young man chuckled and said, Feng Yu. They all call me Mu Yu. As he spoke, he pointed to his head. Lin Feng looked over and couldn't help but smile. It was quite similar. Are you also a newcomer? Lin Feng asked. Mu Yu shook his head. I've been here for more than a year. As he spoke, he directly raised his arm. Mu Yu raised his eyebrows. Here, these scars are all from the past year. They were densely packed. Lin Feng was surprised. These scars didn't seem to be caused by swords, but injured by a demonic beast? Lin Feng looked at the wooden fish. Mu Yu nodded. The giant monsters in the Blood Fog Forest are much stronger than humans of the same level. Mu Yu's eyes lit up. He clenched his fist and said, But thanks to them, my strength has improved greatly in the past year. From the 3rd level of Chi Cloud, I'm now in the 9th level of Chi Cloud. As long as I cross this level and become a Chi Cloud stage powerhouse, I will definitely become a real blood killer. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. So, he wasn't a blood killer yet. Well, if he was a real blood killer, he wouldn't be wandering around like a lonely ghost. Brother Lin, are you lost? Mu Yu asked. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. I don't know where to go at all. How can I be lost? I just came in and I don't know what to do now. Newcomers just go to the Blood Fog Forest to train. Mu Yu was stunned. We are all trainee killers. The guide said that we have to go through the baptism of blood and battle to lay the foundation. Only then can we become a real blood killer. As he spoke, Mu Yu pointed forward. Go all the way from here to the end. Behind the 4 blood towers numbered 30, 31, 3, and 33 is the camp where all the trainee killers gather. Further ahead is the Blood Fog Forest. Didn't the guide tell you, Brother Lin? Lin Feng, in the Wanxian pawn shop, the little old man was sleeping soundly. Chapter 519. So that was the Blood Mist Hall. Lu Wenshao. This is the Blood Mist Land, a huge valley. Outside is the Blood Mist Forest. There are a total of 33 blood towers in the Blood Mist Land, corresponding to the 33 continents. The Eastcom continent is numbered 30, and it's ranked according to the size of the continent. Along the way, Lin Feng studied diligently. Although Mu Yu had only been in the Blood Mist Land for more than a year, he already knew a lot. After entering the Blood Mist Land, one would go directly to the Blood Mist Camp, also known as the Newcomer Camp. All the Chiyun or Fetus Weak assassins would gather there. Moreover, from time to time, blood assassins would appear and head to the Blood Mist Forest to hone themselves. Heart and martial arts techniques are available for free. Standard equipment, basic weapons, armor, and boots are available at will. As for the rest, exchange them with blood kill points. Lin Feng nodded. The Blood Tower was extremely benevolent to newcomers. Although they left them to their own devices, they had given them the basics. The rest was up to them to obtain with their own hands. If they could survive through blood and battle, they could become a true blood assassin. If they couldn't survive, if they had to die sooner or later, they might as well die earlier. Vaguely, there is a kind of cruelty of natural selection. Blood kill points are very important. Lin Feng understood very well. The Warhawk and 6 blood assassins he had seen before were already considered extremely powerful existences in the Blood Tower, but they were still risking their lives for blood kill points. However, according to Mu Yu, newcomers could not earn many blood kill points. The Blood Mist Forest was more for tempering and battlefields. To truly earn blood kill points, one had to become a blood assassin and accept missions. Blood Mist Hall. This was the place to accept missions. Only by becoming a blood assassin can you enter the Blood Tower. By gathering the Blood Mist Land's heaven and earth energy essence, you can cultivate faster in the Blood Tower. Lin Feng nodded. Being a blood assassin had no freedom. Only by becoming a blood assassin could one obtain freedom. Go out on missions to earn blood kill points. Blood assassins were divided into first blood assassins, second blood assassins, until the highest 9th blood assassin. After completing missions, one would advance step by step. To become a first blood assassin had to meet 2 conditions. First, one's strength had to reach the fetus week. Second, kill any super demonic beast. So you don't have to transform into humans, Lilian? Lin Feng was surprised. Yes, young master. Our Monster Beast clan does indeed have 2 directions of development. Xiao Yun's voice could be heard clearly. Elder sister told me before that one of them is to cultivate into a human. However, if you can pass the transformation, and essence condensation stages and condense your natal essence core, you'll be like a real human in the future. Lin Feng nodded. Senior Bai Yun was the same as well. The other path is to go with the flow of the heavens and continue to strengthen the body. From the Monster Beast King to the Giant Monster Emperor, the body will become extremely large. My cultivation speed will also be greatly reduced. Xiao Yun said, when the body expands to its limit, it will transform into a super demonic beast and become stable. Slowly awaken the ancient bloodline in my body. Ancient bloodline? Lin Feng was moved, but he wasn't too surprised. Humans had bloodline powers and powerful ancestors, so it was normal for demons to have them as well. After that, it's the demon god, beast bloodline awakening. Xiao Yun said, it's determined by the ancient bloodline. In the future, you will walk the demon god beast path or the demon god beast path. The demon god beast path will be more powerful in the early stage, but the later stage, the cultivation speed will be slower. Especially the awakening of the bloodline is not that easy. Lin Feng understood. The bigger the body, the more energy it needed. The more energy it absorbed, the lower the cultivation speed. The lifespan of a demon beast was indeed longer than that of a human, but it was also limited. The first path was the transformation path. As long as it could pass the lightning tribulation, it would be smooth sailing. If it could condense an essence core and break through the essence condensation stage, it would be comparable to a real human in the future. The Giant Monster Emperor's transformation stage corresponded to the human's Chi Cloud stage. The Super Monster Emperor's transformation stage corresponded to the human's fetus week. The Demon God Emperor's essence condensation stage corresponded to the human's first week. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. Lin Feng looked at Mu Yu. The demon beasts in the Blood Fog Forest all walk the demon god path. More than 90%. Mu Yu replied, Brother Lin, you may not know, but this is actually the periphery of the Nirvana world, far away from the 33 continents. At the end of the Blood Fog Forest is the first ancient seal of the Nirvana world. Enter the Nirvana world. Lin Feng took a breath. He didn't expect that he was already outside the Nirvana world. Mu Yu continued, so the competition here is very fierce. Not only are there threats from us humans, but also from the demon beasts. Unless they have a backer, the transformation path is very bumpy. But the demon god path is different. Although the cultivation speed is slow, the demon god path is more suitable for fighting. Lin Feng nodded. The transformation stage demon beasts were very weak. Not only did they have to adapt to the new body, but they also lost the fighting skills of demon beasts. It was already good if they had 20% or 30% of their strength left. They would only recover slightly when they reached the transformation stage, but they were still weaker then super demon beasts of the same level. At the third stage, the demon god beast bloodline awakening was also stronger than the transformation stage demon beasts of the essence condensation stage. It was different from the 33 continents. Here, the first thing demon beasts had to face was not cultivation, but survival. He sped along and chatted with Muyu. Lin Feng learned a lot about the blood fog continent from Muyu and benefited a lot. I'm going into seclusion after returning to the camp, Brother Lin. Muyu said regretfully. Otherwise, I can help you adapt to life in the blood fog forest. It's okay. You've already helped me a lot, Lin Feng said. It was already his luck to be able to meet a friend like Muyu as soon as he entered the blood fog continent. The information he mentioned was enough to save him a lot of time. Good luck. Reach the fetus week as soon as possible and become a blood assassin. When the time comes, we'll carry out missions together. Muyu smiled and said, with Brother Lin's perfect body, as long as you get through the early stage of discomfort, you'll definitely become a blood assassin. Okay. Lin Feng also smiled. Muyu's eyes were bright as he clenched his fists. This seclusion will take at least 10 days and at most a month. I'll definitely break through to the fetus week. I've already made an appointment with 2 good friends. We'll set off in a month to hunt 3 super demon beasts and become blood assassins together. Then I wish you good luck, Brother Muyu. Lin Feng smiled slightly. Thank you for your kind words, Brother Lin. Muyu laughed heartily. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 figures passed through Blood Tower 32. We're here, Brother Lin. The newbie camp is in front. Let's part here. Muyu looked over. Okay, see you later. Lin Feng nodded. See you later. They looked at each other and smiled. Muyu then left. Lin Feng slowed down his footsteps. A faint smell of demon beast blood reached the tip of his nose. He could already see the scattered crowd in the distance. They had arrived at the blood fog camp. To be continued, novel. Chapter 520. As far as the eye could see, there were bonfires everywhere. The light from the fire illuminated the camp. Many youths gathered around the bonfires, talking and laughing. The smell of barbecued meat mixed with the smell of blood, creating the unique atmosphere of the blood mist camp. There weren't many people, but every youth looked brave and battle-hardened. Swish, swish, swish. Lin Feng's entrance attracted everyone's attention. A newcomer? Another newcomer. Yang devouring demon armor? This newcomer seems to be quite capable. Unbridled laughter came from the camp. Lin Feng's expression was calm. From the laughter, one could hear some envy, jealousy, disdain, and schadenfreude. As Lin Feng swept his gaze across the surroundings, he immediately saw many greedy gazes staring at him. He immediately understood what was going on. A Yang devouring demon armor was priced at 5 million Nemo dollars. It wasn't too much for an upper-level embryonic weak practitioner, but for a Chi Cloud practitioner, it was quite generous. Hang 1, lose 10,000. Lin Feng didn't care. With his current strength, he could even defeat a 9th-level embryonic weak practitioner. Most of the people here were Chi Cloud practitioners. At most, they were lower-level embryonic weak practitioners. What was there to be afraid of? Walking along the edge of the camp, one could see many wooden houses and some towering trees. To enter the newcomer camp, first build your own wooden house. Any empty space within the camp will do. Lin Feng remembered what the wooden fish had said and made his preparations. There was no point in dealing with these trainee assassins. The Blood Mist camp was only a temporary transition. For most trainee assassins, the survival rate of forming a small team in the Blood Mist forest was higher. Even Muyu needed to hunt super demon beasts with 2 friends to complete the promotion requirements. But he didn't need it. Break through embryonic weak as soon as possible. I can be promoted to blood assassin and obtain freedom. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. I want to know who among the 3 from Thunderbolt Palace is plotting to harm me. Who is it? Young master, that's great. This blood mist is pure energy. The blood mist that young master breathed in. The energy conversion is very pure and very fast. Xiao Yun's joyful voice. Lin Feng, who was building a wooden house. He couldn't help but smile. When they first entered the land of blood mist, the blood mist was not considered dense. When they entered the blood mist camp, the density of the blood mist that filled the sky had greatly increased. He didn't feel anything. After all, he didn't cultivate the path of Een. However, little Yin was born with an extreme body. "Young master, Xiao Yin has a request." Xiao Yun's voice was nervous and happy. There's no harm in speaking. Lin Feng was curious as well. Little Yin had always lived in his body without any desires. Especially after overcoming the heavenly tribulation, she even wholeheartedly helped him improve the soul of the earth. In her words, it was to repay a debt of gratitude. I believe that young master has also seen it. The closer we are to the blood mist forest, the denser the blood mist energy. Little Yun said. Lin Feng nodded. Logically speaking, the center of the blood mist forest is where the blood mist energy is the densest. Does Xiao Yun want me to enter the blood mist forest? Lin Feng was moved. This method was better than cultivating in the newcomer's camp. No, young master, but it's about the same. Xiao Yun said embarrassedly. Xiao Yun wants young master to kill some demonic beasts' inner cores. Demonic beasts' inner cores? Lin Feng was enlightened. You mean, the blood mist energy is so dense. The inner cores of the demonic beasts that cultivate in the blood mist forest must contain a lot of Een energy. Yes, young master. Xiao Yun nodded. Humans can only purify the inner cores of demonic beasts. They can also refine medicine pills. But we, the demonic beasts, can use the inner cores of demonic beasts for our own use. Young master, do you understand? Lin Feng smiled. Of course, he understood. Xiao Yin was born with the Een extreme body. She was the best at absorbing Een energy. The demonic beasts in the blood mist forest. Most of them cultivated the demon god path, which was different from the demonic beasts in the 33 continents. A demonic beast king at most had a king-level inner core, but a giant demonic beast emperor had an emperor-level inner core. A super demonic beast had a super inner core. This was a huge amount of resources. Xiao Yun, you don't have to be embarrassed. Lin Feng smiled. I should take care of you. Moreover, the increase in your strength is very beneficial to me. The reason why his soul of the earth could cultivate so fast was because of Xiao Yun. Her Een extreme body was in the transformation stage. It was equivalent to the best cultivation speed for a human in the fetus week. How could her cultivation speed not be fast when she was in the Qi cloud stage? If Xiao Yun could raise her Een extreme body to the essence condensation stage, she could use the best cultivation speed for the essence condensation stage to help him in the fetus week. How much time could he save? Needless to say, there was also what he was looking forward to the most. The transformation stage tribulation lightning. The lightning tribulation was not only not a disaster, it was a qualitative improvement for him, especially his lightning aptitude. After the transformation tribulation, he had transformed into a butterfly. If he were to undergo another transformation tribulation, the improvement would be hard to imagine. Thank you, young master. Xiao Yin was overjoyed. Lin Feng smiled. Suddenly, there was a sudden gust of wind in the distance. The wooden house that was just built suddenly collapsed. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. He turned around slowly and saw 7 young men, 6 men and 1 woman. They were led by a young man with messy hair. They swaggered over. TSK, where did this wind come from? Why is it so strong? The young man with messy hair sneered. A gust of wind circled around his right hand. Fetus Tuesday. Lin Feng immediately sensed their aura. The young man with messy hair and his group consisted of 1 Fetus Tuesday, 2 Fetus Monday, and the rest of them were in the Qi cloud stage. The wind in the blood fog forest is too strong. It's a small matter to blow the wooden house down. I heard that many newbies who entered the blood fog forest were killed by the wind. Do you think it's worth it for those newbies to earn that little money? Sighed the young man with messy hair, and his group stopped beside Lin Feng and chatted with him. As long as one was not stupid, one could guess what they were going to do. Lin Feng smiled. Some things could not be avoided. Come, let's meet in the blood fog forest. If you can defeat me, I'll give you my devouring demonic armor. Lin Feng looked at the young man with messy hair and walked into the blood fog forest. According to the rules, no fighting was allowed in the newbies' camp. The young man with messy hair and his group were stunned. They were not the first to bully the newbies, nor would they be the last to do so. However, they had never seen a newbie so arrogant. He even stole their lines. "Boss, what should we do, boss?" Everyone looked at the young man with messy hair. "What are you afraid of? The 7 of us can win. Let's go and teach him a lesson." The young man with messy hair gritted his teeth and followed. Chapter 521. Hey, is this newcomer a tough guy? Who can join the Blood Tower doesn't have a few skills. What's the saying? Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. Yes, that calf. Beat him up and he'll learn to be smart. He's a newcomer, so he has to pay some tuition to show respect to his big brother, right? Lin Feng walked through the middle of the camp. It was not difficult to find the way to the blood fog forest. Listening to all kinds of ridicule, Lin Feng looked calm. Some things could not be avoided, and there was no need to avoid. If he wanted to stay here quietly in the future, he would directly establish his power and make an example of others. Teach a newcomer a lesson. Pictures suddenly emerged in Lin Feng's mind. When he first came to the floating island of elements, he had a similar experience. This tradition was not good, but it had a long history. Ling Er's appearance appeared in his mind, as well as many of his comrades in the Elements Merchant Alliance, which touched Lin Feng's heart. I don't know. How are they now? Ling Er, mother, big brother, what are they doing? Have the signs of the great extinction of Earth appeared? How is the immigration of Mars going? There were many thoughts and concerns. However, this became the goal in Lin Feng's heart, the source of his efforts. Don't go. In front of him, 3 young people, 2 men and 1 woman, stood up. There was a white water droplet on their foreheads, which was the power of bloodline. Lin Feng stopped. "Brother, don't show off your courage," the leading young man advised. "A month ago, when we first entered the camp, we also agreed to duel with Huang Liang. As a result, another young man pointed at the girl behind him, his face slightly pale. Until now, my sister's injury has not healed. They won't show mercy." The girl bit her lips and looked at Lin Feng. "Just bear with it for now. I heard that Blood Shadow was like this a year ago. Wait until you're stronger, then take revenge." Blood Shadow? Lin Feng was tempted. It seemed that Blood Shadow was also a popular figure in the newcomer camp. "Hong Yongkong. Hong Yongjia, what are all of you doing?" Huang Meng's furious roar sounded from behind him. The other 6 followers also roared loudly. With 7 people in a team, they had quite a bit of prestige in the rookie camp. Hearing this, the 3 Hong siblings' faces changed. Hong Yongkong, who was the leader, said, "Remember, don't fall for their provocation. Don't go to the blood fog forest." Hong Yongjing anxiously grabbed Lin Feng's hand. Lin Feng felt warmth in his heart. "Don't worry. It wasn't them who wanted me to go to the blood fog forest." Lin Feng looked at the 3 Hong siblings and smiled. "It was me who suggested it." After saying this, Lin Feng nodded at the 3 Hong siblings who were in a daze and headed straight for the blood fog forest. Behind them, Huang Liang and the others were cursing and glaring fiercely at the 3 Hong siblings, then quickly followed behind them. The entire newcomer camp regained its previous liveliness. Everyone was discussing this newcomer, but in the end, most of them were once newcomers. Huang Liang and the others are too fast. That's good. We don't have to waste our breath. After this stubborn newcomer is taught a lesson, it will be easy to deal with him in the future. Listen, there are sounds of fighting inside. Haha, Huang Liang and the others are good at torturing people. I wonder if this newcomer will go crazy and beg for mercy. There's no sound? Damn, that's too fast. It's only been a few seconds. Newcomers nowadays are all pretty but useless. They're just like embroidered pillows. That's it. Everyone laughed wantonly. However, just as the laughter sounded, there was a gust of wind blowing past. A figure appeared at the entrance of the blood fog forest. In an instant, everyone's eyes widened as they looked at the young man in the yang, devouring demonic armor. His expression was calm and composed. He didn't look injured at all. Behind him, there was nothing. It was as if Huang Liang and the others had disappeared. There was no trace of them at all. There was complete silence. Only the sound of flames and the smell of barbecued meat could be heard. Under the illumination of the flames, everyone looked at Lin Feng in a daze and shock. What happened? Find a few people and carry them back, so that they won't be eaten by the demon beasts later. Lin Feng's voice slowly fell. His calm expression, as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him, made the hands of the people who were ready to kill tremble. Huang Liang and the others, regardless of their character, but in terms of team strength, they were definitely ranked in the top 10 in the newcomer camp. But now, in a few seconds, they were beaten down, and the opponent was only one person. No matter what, thank you. Lin Feng walked past the three Hong siblings and smiled at them. Everywhere, there were people who added insult to injury and looked on coldly. At this time, the timely help made people feel warm and cherished. It was enough to show the three people's pure character. If there's anything I can help with, find me over there. Lin Feng pointed to the front. Then, he walked back, leaving the three Hong siblings dumbfounded. He had to build a new wooden house. There was a monster in the newcomer camp. Lin Feng's fame spread like a swarm of locusts. On the first day he entered the camp, he broke the legs of the notorious Huang Liang and the others. The key was that it was only a few seconds, and the 7 people were not injured in other places. The external injuries of fractures were actually the most minor, and they would be fine after a few days of rest. During this time, they could also cultivate the heart technique. In the camp, this was a small lesson. First grade, Alcade Holy Chi. The three Hong siblings were shocked. Well, the first, second, and second volumes are all here. You can take them first, copy them, memorize them, and return them to me when you're done. Lin Feng directly handed over the 3 volumes of Alcade. Normally, he did not have the right to privately impart the Alcade heart technique, but what did it matter? In the newcomer camp's heart technique exchange list, there was the Alcade heart technique, and the price was not expensive. The first volume was 100 blood kill points, the second volume was 1,000 blood kill points, and the second volume was 10,000 blood kill points. Based on the exchange rate of 1,000. The second volume of Alcade, which was the most important, was only 10 million Yamal coins. In a rising sun chamber of commerce, the second volume of Alcade was sold. The unit price was 440 million Yamal coins. Lin Feng had some doubts before, but after thinking about it, he understood. What was there to be afraid of secretly learning the heart technique? Afraid of being found out. Once found out, he would be hunted down, spurned, and wanted. But what was there to be afraid of? They lived in the dark, and they either killed or were killed, unlike the righteous sects who fished for fame and reputation. What's wrong with secretly learning the heart technique? So in the Blood Tower, other things might be expensive, such as pills, holy fruits, and treasures, but the heart technique was definitely the cheapest. Why? Because they were generous. Lin Feng was the same now. Chapter 522. The 3 Hong siblings were also newcomers. In the Blood Mist camp, it was a matter of survival of the fittest. The competition was quite fierce. The mortality rate was as high as 90%, which meant that only 1 out of 10 people could become a blood assassin. The Blood Tower had always been the path of elites. Only the super elites in the 33 continents could enter the world of Nemo and become the real backbone of the Blood Tower. Thank you for your generous help, Brother Lin. Han Yongkong was grateful. The 3 of us will remember Brother Lin's kindness in promoting us. Han Yongjie cupped his hands. Thank you, Big Brother Lin. Han Yongjing looked at Lin Feng. Other than gratitude, there was also admiration in her eyes. Lin Feng nodded with a smile. It was a piece of cake for him to share the Alcade incantation. I'll help as much as I can. Lin Feng looked at the white water droplets on the 3 Hong siblings' foreheads and asked curiously, "Is this the bloodline power? Is it the way of water?" Han Yongkong replied, "We're from the Hong Gong family. We have a strong sense of water and light. As long as we integrate the first-grade Holy Chi of water and Holy Chi of light." Han Yongkong pointed to his forehead. "We'll awaken the Alcade bloodline and become a Nemo." The white water droplets. Amazing. Lin Feng couldn't help murmuring. 99% of the integration of Holy Chi ended in failure, but according to Hong Yongkong, they seem to have a 100% success rate. There are all kinds of strange things in the big world. Such a powerful bloodline talent was amazing. Those who could enter the Blood Tower were not ordinary people. With the first grade Alcade Holy Chi, we only need the first grade Holy Chi of water. Hong Yongjie was very happy. It shouldn't be difficult to get 11,100 blood kill points. Lin Feng looked at the three and said, "And you three can just fight for one set." "It's not like that, Brother Lin," Hong Yongjing said with a smile. "The rule of the Blood Tower is that whoever exchanges for the incantation can only learn it by himself. He can't give it away, lend it, or sell it to others. That's why we asked Brother Lin before. Did you exchange this set of Alcade?" "I see." Lin Feng nodded in realization. Well, if all the mental cultivation methods of the Shuolo sect could be borrowed, the training of the newcomers would be meaningless. The price of the Heart Sutra was already quite low. "You've already helped us a lot, Brother Lin," Hong Yongkong said. "We can cultivate the Yaoguang Holy Chi first and slowly accumulate blood kill points. Now, the three of us can already kill upper-tier giant monster emperors. We have collected more than 2,000 Emperor-tier monster emperors in more than a month. On average, it's close to 5,000 HP. In another month, we will be able to gather enough blood kill points to buy the first set of Mirror Water Heart Record. More than 2,000 Emperor-level inner cores." Lin Feng was stunned. "Wait," Lin Feng hurriedly asked, "can blood kill points be traded?" Hong Yongkong shook his head. "No. That's why we have an exchange for inner cores. We'll exchange for them when we need to buy them. Anyway, inner cores won't go bad just sitting there." Whoosh! Lin Feng's eyes lit up instantly. "Brother Hong, please sell all of your Emperor-level Nadens to me," Lin Feng said directly. The three Hong siblings were taken aback and were momentarily stunned. Lin Feng smiled. "I'll buy them with Nemo coins. The purchase price is 10% higher. Blood kill points could not be traded, but Nemo coins were not included. Nemo coins could be exchanged for blood kill points at a ratio of 1,000. 1-inch Brother Lin wants inner cores?" Hong Yongkong wondered. Lin Feng nodded affirmatively. The three of them looked at each other. Although they didn't know what Lin Feng wanted the inner cores for, they nodded without hesitation. "No problem, Brother Lin. We don't need to increase the purchase price by 10%. Just use the original exchange price. We still owe you such a big favor. How can we take advantage of you?" "It's fine," Lin Feng said softly. "Besides, I have something to trouble you with." After a slight pause, Lin Feng's eyes flashed. "I want to buy all the inner cores in the Blood Mist camp, regardless of grade. We'll add 10% to the exchange price. I'll buy as many as you have." Lin Feng's voice fell. The three Hong siblings were stunned on the spot, as if they were petrified. Money was just a worldly possession. For Lin Feng, turning it into something that was beneficial to him was the most practical. Even though he had escaped from East Spirit City, he had destroyed all of A.O. Lin's storage rings and even given away the anthropoid fruit worth 108 billion, but it didn't matter, because the harvest was already quite good. He had obtained 3 treasures from killing A.O. Lin: Heaven-grade armor, Heaven-grade sword, and Earth-grade perfect boots. A standard 3-piece set. "I can't use the Heaven-grade sword. I'll sell it." Lin Feng made a decision. He could use the Earth-grade perfect boots. He could barely use the Heaven-grade armor. Only this Heaven-grade sword was a waste of resources. Besides, he had to sell it. He only had 2 million Nemo coins left. He couldn't be short of money to buy the inner cores, right? A low-tier Emperor-grade inner core was 1 blood kill point, which was 1,000 Nemo coins. Adding 10% would be 1,100 Nemo coins. Just the inner cores on the 3 Hong siblings would cost about 5 million Nemo coins to buy them all. How many inner cores were there in the entire Blood Mist camp? It was hard to imagine. The most valuable thing on A.O. Lin's body is this Heaven-grade sword. According to the auction price, it's at least twice the price of the anthropoid fruit. Lin Feng could feel that this Heaven-grade sword was more precious than the armor. A.O. Lin could match a fetus stage 9 with the strength of a fetus stage 4. Naturally, it couldn't be a tortoise shell-like armor. Only when one's offense was strong could one truly match up to him. I wonder how much it can be sold for. Lin Feng was also curious. Blood Mist Camp Exchange Office. Hey, isn't this the super newcomer Lin Feng? Yeah, what is he doing here? How'd he get blood kill points so quickly? Stupid. He doesn't need to earn it. He just threw money at it. Yeah. Lin Feng's appearance immediately attracted the attention of several young people at the exchange office. After all, Lin Feng could be regarded as an out-and-out celebrity in the Blood Mist camp. The super newcomer's name was quite well known. Even the bald man at the exchange counter, who was originally indifferent, looked over with some curiosity in his eyes as he perked up slightly. Hello. Lin Feng walked to the exchange office and directly put the sword on the table. I want to exchange for this sword. The bald man glanced over and was startled. With a clang, he unsheathed the sword. In an instant, the three strange colors of black, white, and gray blended as if it had a life of its own. When the treasured sword was unsheathed, the surrounding youths who were watching the show all revealed shocked expressions. Middle heaven-grade tricolor phantom sword. The bald man gasped. Chapter 5:23. Heaven-grade holy treasure. It was divided into low-grade, mid-grade, high-grade, supreme grade, and perfect grade. Lin Feng didn't know much about this. After all, heaven-grade holy treasures were quite rare in the 33 continents. They were almost worth 100 billion. Low-grade heaven-grade holy treasures were already sky-high, and mid-grade heaven-grade holy treasures were even rarer. As for high-grade heaven-grade holy treasures, they hadn't been seen in auctions in the 33 continents for many years. Even Niamo didn't necessarily have a heaven-grade holy treasure. In the Chi Cloud stage, having a heaven-grade holy treasure in the Fetus Week stage would definitely increase one's combat strength. For example, Ao Lin could defeat a Fetus Week stage 9 when he was in the Fetus Week stage 4. Lin Feng could do the same because the Dragon Pearl necklace was also a heaven-grade holy treasure. Three-colored phantom sword. I heard the Nirvana sect has one. Yeah, I remember it seems to be the sword of the Nirvana sect's junior sect master, Ao Lin. Yes, that's right. The surrounding youths discussed animatedly. They weren't stupid, and they looked at Lin Feng with some fear. If they guessed correctly, Lin Feng's three-colored phantom sword obviously came from. The Blood Assassins naturally knew about the news in East Spirit City, but the newcomer camp was isolated from the outside world, so it wasn't that fast to gather information. Even so, from the fact that Lin Feng took out this unique three-colored phantom sword, they already knew a thing or two. So the culprit behind the uproar in East Spirit City is you. The bald man looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled slightly, neither admitting nor denying. In the Blood Tower, talking about killing people was like eating a meal. Every blood assassin in the Blood Tower had a fierce reputation and had killed countless people. Not to mention the junior sect master of the Nirvana sect, even the sect masters of the 10 great sects. They even dared to kill blood assassins. You really want to sell it? The bald man gently stroked the sword, unwilling to let it go. Yes. Lin Feng didn't hesitate. You know the rules? The bald man didn't raise his head, carefully examining the sword. Lin Feng nodded. This sword was considered stolen goods, especially since everyone knew it belonged to Ao Lin. It couldn't be sold through normal channels. For example, the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce wouldn't accept the sword because it would offend the second most powerful sect in the 33 continents, the Nirvana sect. But the Blood Tower, I don't care. There was no need for it to be sold. It could be directly placed on the exchange list, and the Blood Assassins would exchange for it. He had already secretly learned the Heart Sutra, so why would he care about stolen goods? Yes. The bald man finished his inspection and said with satisfaction, the tricolor phantom is in perfect condition. It is indeed a mid-grade heaven tier sword. The normal price is 600 billion emo coins, so you can get 300 billion emo coins. It was directly chopped in half. Lin Feng smiled bitterly, although he was mentally prepared. But his heart still skipped a beat. However, he immediately calmed down. He had taken it from Ao Lin in the first place, and it didn't take him much effort to earn 300 billion emo coins. Furthermore, holding the tricolor illusion sword was like holding a piece of scrap metal. He couldn't sell it in the 33 continents. Once he entered the Nirvana world value, it was greatly reduced. I'll sell it. Lin Feng was resolute. The young men around him were completely stunned. Their eyes were bigger than lanterns. 300 billion Nemo coins. That was 300 billion Nemo coins. They might not be able to earn that much money in their lifetime. Okay, wait a moment. The bald man glanced at Lin Feng again and didn't say much. He took the sword and went straight to the Blood Mist Palace. A transaction over 10 billion Nemo coins needed a second inspection, and he didn't have the authority to approve it. Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry. He retreated to the side, closed his eyes, and waited patiently. A mid-grade heaven-tier treasure. The starting price is 100 billion Nemo coins, and the highest auction price has reached 100 billion. But the normal price is about 20% lower than the auction price. This tricolor illusion sword sold for 600 billion Nemo coins, barely squeezing into the mid-grade weapon category. Lin Feng thought. Weapons were often more valuable than armor and boots. No wonder the guide mentioned that Ao Jianhui spent more than 1 trillion Nemo coins on Ao Lin. The tricolor illusion sword alone was already incredible. But in the end, it was a bargain for him. The 300 billion Nemo coin should be enough to buy an inner core and push Xiao Yun to the essence condensation state. Lin Feng was looking forward to it. For beasts, this kind of cultivation method wasn't worth recommending. Forcefully increasing their strength would only make them die more miserably in the lightning retribution. But Xiao Yun was an exception. After all, she didn't have to bear it by herself. I have to wait for a while. At least until I'm at the embryo stage and have enough confidence to break through, Lin Feng thought. Although the lightning retribution was beneficial to him, he would definitely be killed if he wasn't careful. Walking on the edge of a cliff, he had to be more cautious. Especially when Xiao Yun was in the transformation state. She should only have to bear 3 bolts of lightning retribution, but there were 9. 9 bolts of lightning retribution were supposed to fall during the transformation state, but now, it was still unknown. It should be because Xiao Yun is in my body, so she didn't bear the lightning retribution herself. Lin Feng could guess. Time passed slowly. The number of trainee killers who came to the exchange office gradually increased. Brother Xiao, are you really going to get it to us? Of course. Brother Xiao has always been generous. He gives us 1 million Nemo coins every month. Wow, how many Nemo coins is Brother Xiao exchanging this time? As they were talking, a long-haired young man in silver armor walked over with 5 young men behind him. He was wearing a top-grade, perfect, earth-grade sacred treasure. Born rich, he looked down on everyone with disdain, showing a domineering aura. Brother Xiao, I'm in a good mood today. Later, each of you can choose a mid-grade earth treasure. I'll pay. Su Xiao glanced at Lin Feng's yang swallowing demonic armor and seemed to want to compete. Hey, super newbie. Only a mid-grade earth treasure. Thank you, Brother Xiao. Long live Brother Xiao. The 5 young men behind Su Xiao were overjoyed. Lin Feng still had his eyes closed and looked indifferent. He had heard the 3 Hong siblings mention Su Xiao before. He was the richest newbie in the Blood Mist camp and came from a rich family. Well, how many Nemo coins should I exchange for later? Su Xiao pondered and said, I don't know if 500 million is enough. Let's exchange 1 billion. The armor I'm wearing is too damaged and ugly. I'll buy a new one, and some supreme-grade St. Crystals for cultivation. I'll exchange 2 billion Nemo coins first. Su Xiao looked happy and content, enjoying the envious gazes around him. At this time, the bald man, Uncle Tu, had already returned to the exchange office in a hurry. I want to exchange 1 billion. Su Xiao was about to take out his Nemo coins when Uncle Tu interrupted him. The check is correct. It's indeed a mid-grade heaven treasure. Here's 300 billion Nemo coins. It's all in there. Keep it. Thank you, Lin Feng said as he walked up to Su Xiao, who was staring at him with his mouth agape. He turned around and left. To be continued. Chapter 524. 300 billion super newcomers. Lin Feng's name was like a whirlwind that instantly spread throughout the entire Blood Mist camp, and there was no one who didn't know of him. He was so famous that even the strongest Li Jie, the most talented Meng Wuqi, and the richest Su Xiao were all inferior. In the next second, Lin Feng's actions caused everyone to wring their wrists in astonishment. He was buying monster cores. He was buying them at 10% higher than the exchange rate. Pure Nemo currency. Is he crazy? What does he want so many monster cores for? To refine pills? Who cares? It's real money. Isn't it good to make more money? He's rich. Although there were many doubts, everyone in the Blood Mist camp was willing. Not only could they increase their profits by 10%, but they could also buy pure Nemo currency. In other words, they could exchange for blood kill points or not. There was no limit to exchanging Nemo currency for blood kill points, but there was a limit to exchanging blood kill points for Nemo currency. The three Hong siblings were so busy that they didn't even have enough to eat. Especially at the beginning, when there were many people exchanging, they were the most flustered. Later, they slowly adapted and listened to Lin Feng's advice. They only needed to open a fixed time every day to buy, and it wouldn't affect their cultivation. After all, Lin Feng wouldn't be at ease if the three Hong siblings' strength stagnated because of this. How is it, Xiaoyun? Lin Feng gently placed his hand on the monster core. The power from the soul of the earth directly absorbed the essence of the Niden for Xiaoyun to absorb. Fortunately, he didn't need to swallow them one by one. Monster cores weren't small, and they had a fishy smell. It's almost the third stage, young master, Xiaoyun said happily. So fast. Lin Feng was surprised. After all, monster beasts cultivated very slowly. Because of their individual size, they needed to absorb more energy than humans. If one walked the demon god path, the energy required was many times more than the transformation path. Xiaoyun nodded. It's faster at the beginning. It will slow down later. Lin Feng nodded. Every time he leveled up, he would need more than twice as much energy as before. The difference between each level of the three tiers was tenfold. 3 hours later, young master, I've broken through. Xiaoyun's joyful voice sounded in his mind. Lin Feng's heart was moved. He stopped moving. Absorbing the monster core with one hand and Saint Crystal with the other, Lin Feng's efficiency was quite high. Fourth order of the transformation stage. Lin Feng asked. Xiaoyun nodded lightly. Every inner core has more or less blood mist energy, so it improves very quickly. About a little over 1 billion. Lin Feng quickly did some calculations. There were 1 billion demonic beast cores in the wooden house. They were neatly stacked so that it was easy to absorb and count them. Xiaoyun's advancement from the first stage to the fourth stage of the transformation stage was quickly calculated, just based on the inner core of the demonic beast. It was not accurate. After all, some inner cores had more blood mist energy and some had less. The third level is 1 layer. That is to say, to upgrade to the 7th level of the transformation stage, it would take about 10 to 15 billion. Upgrading to the first stage of the essence condensation stage is between 100 billion and 150 billion. Lin Feng smiled. Just as he had expected, it was within his acceptable range. Little Yun, let's continue. Lin Feng followed up with another attack. 2 days later. It's about time. Lin Feng got up, walking out of the wooden house. Xiaoyun had been promoted to the 7th level of the transformation stage and could no longer rush up. It was not that there was not enough money, but the demonic beast cores had been consumed. Lin Feng was not in a hurry. There was plenty of time to take it slow. Anyway, Xiaoyun could only be promoted to the 9th level of the transformation stage at most. Further up, it would be the transformation thunder tribulation. He was not ready yet. Let's go to the blood mist forest. Lin Feng stretched his muscles and bones. He was very curious about the place. At the same time, he could absorb more blood mist there and speed up the improvement of his strength level. Moreover, the blood mist forest was full of giant demonic beast emperors, super demonic beasts, and even fierce demonic beasts. It was a pretty good place to hone his saber technique and improve his saber technique. Lin Feng knew very well that this was his weakest point at present. Saber technique, realm. East Spirit City. Search for me. Dig 3 feet into the ground and find this bastard for me. East Spirit's city lord's eyes were about to crack as he roared hysterically. For 7 days, Even the Eastcom army near East Spirit City was mobilized to search for Lin Feng's whereabouts. He even invited his backer, dark-faced gentleman Wang Qi, a powerful figure in East Spirit Palace, to mobilize the palace's forces to investigate. In the end, they found nothing. Lin Feng was like air, suddenly disappearing from East Spirit City. Where did he go? Where could he go? East Spirit City Lord's mouth was dry, and his mind was in a daze. If he could not catch Lin Feng, the consequences that awaited him would be unimaginable. Report. From afar, an Eastcom soldier rushed over. Instantly, East Spirit City Lord straightened his back and revealed a look of hope. Speak quickly. Is there news of Lin Feng? East Spirit's City Lord's eyes lit up as if he had grasped at a life-saving straw. The Eastcom soldier was stunned. No, City Lord, it's... The Eastcom soldier had a difficult expression as he stammered. It's senior, dark-faced gentleman Wang Qi from East Spirit Palace. He was assassinated. What? East Spirit City Lord's eyes widened. Bad news. Before the first wave subsided, another wave came. To the City Lord of East Spirit City, the black-faced man, Wang Qi, was a huge backer. The sudden bad news was like a tidal wave that knocked him over. Blood Tower. Damn it, this damned Blood Tower. East Spirit's City Lord gritted his teeth, his face ashen. He clenched his fists tightly as his body trembled violently. But in an instant, the trembling stopped. A chill emerged from the depths of his heart and occupied his entire body. East Spirit's City Lord raised his head in horror. A man in blue armor was floating in the air. There were 5 scabbards on each side of his waist. He had a pair of sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes, emitting an aggressive divine light like an unsheathed sword, full of killing intent. Just the killing intent contained in those blood-red eyes alone could tear a person to pieces. Sect Master of the God Nirvana Sect, killing god of 10 swords, Ao Jianwei. He's here. City Lord Mansion. Lin Feng, Chinese Lin Feng. Ao Jianwei's blood-red eyes were as cold as sword light. It's him. Ao Jianwei naturally remembered Lin Feng. But he didn't expect that a moment of benevolence and carelessness that day would lead to today's disaster. Very well. Ao Jianwei squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth. The blood vessels in his hands bulged, and in an instant, a clanking sound rang out. Swords flew into the sky and spun rapidly in the air, majestic sword chi. Enveloped by a terrifying killing intent, East Spirit City Lord's face turned pale. He knelt on the ground with a bang. Spare my life. This is not your fault. You could be spared the death penalty, but you can't escape punishment. Ao Jianwei's voice was cold. In an instant, blood splattered, and East Spirit's City Lord wailed in the City Lord Mansion. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Sheathing his sword, Ao Jianwei was like a god of death. Lin Feng, even if you hide to the ends of the earth, I will take your life. Blood sacrifice for my son's soul. Chapter 5:25. In the Blood Fog Forest. Whoosh, whoosh. A young man wrapped in a dark aura was fighting with super beasts with a saber in his hand. The saber radiance was shocking, and the ghostly aura behind him looked ferocious. More than 10 super beasts attacked crazily. The saber in the young man's hand turned into balls of lightning, buzzing endlessly. Netherworld Holy Chi, Level 9. Thunder and Lightning Storm. Compared to before, he was more flexible and could control it freely. With the help of the 6th level of the titanium body, even a dozen super beasts comparable to a rank 9 overlord couldn't take advantage of him. Saber technique. Like the reflection of the moon in the water, forget the blade in your hand, forget everything. Where the heart is, the saber is. Lin Feng's eyes were bright and persistent. The saber in his hand was as domineering as ever, but it had changed a little and lost a little bit of reality. That's it. It's about time to make a breakthrough. Lin Feng smiled faintly. The saber in his hand struck with lightning. In an instant, the 9 Serenity's thunder saber seemed to disappear, but it instantly turned into an illusory saber with violent thunder. The highest level of nether holy chi mixed with lightning struck, and more than a dozen demonic beasts around were tragically killed. Bang! Lin Feng stood up. His whole body was full of bloodthirsty and murderous aura. Even the 9 Serenity Thunder Saber in his hand was full of murderous intent, which stood out in the forest surrounded by the blood fog. Saber Technique, Level 10. Actual combat was the fastest way to improve one saber technique. Besides, Lin Feng's saber technique had never been weak. It was just that he was born on Earth and didn't receive the most orthodox saber technique training like the martial artists on Planet Nemo. But his efforts wouldn't be in vain. Lin Feng's saber technique foundation was also solid. Now, he was catching up step by step. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lin Feng didn't stop. Even though he had consumed a lot of energy in the fierce battles, his saber technique had just reached level 10 and needed to be stabilized. He needed to firmly imprint the feeling of the saber into his heart and body. Being tired didn't mean he could relax and rest. Not enough. Far from enough. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The saber in his hand was connected to his heart, resolute and tenacious. My saber technique has only reached the standard of a Nemo planet. I'm still far from becoming a true expert. I want to become stronger, even stronger. Left Purple, Iao, Jianhui, Goddess Wakaman. Many faces appeared in his mind, stimulating Lin Feng to persevere. It had already been more than half a month since they entered the Blood Fog Forest. Their initial goal had already been achieved, but they were only left with the most disadvantageous piece of the puzzle, elongated to a normal length. Lin Feng was never arrogant. He clearly knew that he still had a long way to go. Chi, another super demonic beast, was killed. Lin Feng's face was somewhat pale as he retrieved his inner core. His entire body was on the verge of collapsing. However, the more he was in this state, the stronger the sensation of the saber. Once again, Lin Feng waved his saber. He was firm and resolute. Whoosh! A warm current spread from the soul of the earth. It flowed into his limbs, meridians, skin, and blood. Within his bones and cells, Lin Feng's body shook as if he had been injected with a cardiac stimulant. His condition instantly recovered. The cold sweat on his forehead disappeared, and the blue veins on his arms calmed down. In front of him, 3 upper-level super demonic beasts roared and attacked. Lin Feng's eyes were bright, and the saber in his hand moved violently again. Boom! Chi Cloud. Level 8. Today, Lin Feng's physical fitness alone was comparable to level 5 of the embryonic cycle. After the 6th tier of the titanium body, he could reach level 9 of the embryonic cycle. In the past half a month, he had improved a lot, although he didn't have time to cultivate his holy chi for the time being. The improvement of his saber technique brought about an increase in combat power. So diligent, often. A teasing voice came from behind. A young man in black with silver-hooked eyebrows appeared with a smile. Brother Bing. Lin Feng smiled. The young man with silver-hooked eyebrows in front of him was called Chi Bing. He was a friend he had met in the Blood Fog Forest. Level 9 of the embryonic cycle, a level 4 blood killer. Due to the uniqueness of the Blood Fog Forest, there were often blood assassins who came to train, comprehend profound meaning, sword technique, saber technique, and so on. Oh, you improved again? Chi Bing's eyes lit up. A white light flashed in his hand, and 2 cold daggers suddenly appeared. Come, let's spar. I couldn't ask for more. Lin Feng smiled. In an instant, the power of the 9 secret thunder saber in his hand erupted. Chi Bing directly faced him, seemingly careless, but his steps were precise, and his body was like the wind. The most terrifying thing was the dagger in his hand. Every time he slashed, a layer of frost would condense. Clang! Lin Feng's saber fell, but it was blocked by a layer of frost in midair. What fell again, the rhythm was completely wrong. Chi Bing's dagger took advantage of the opportunity to slash, and the ice energy went directly to Lin Feng's neck. When assassins fought, every move was simple and efficient. Although Lin Feng's strength was comparable to level 9 of the embryonic cycle in name, he was completely at a disadvantage in a real fight with an experienced assassin like Chi Bing. Huff, huff! Lin Feng gasped for breath. Ice water dripped from his forehead, and Lin Feng brushed it away with his hand. He was helpless, but a layer of frost had unknowingly condensed on his hair. Qi Bing crossed his arms in front of his chest, looking casual as if nothing had happened. However, his eyes flashed, and he was curiously sizing up Lin Feng. "I haven't seen you for 3 days, boy." Qi Bing curled his lips and said, "The last time I fought with you, your strength was like a fish in the pond. What about now?" Lin Feng smiled. Qi Bing smiled. "Now you're a fish in the river." Glancing at Lin Feng, Qi Bing suddenly said, "But don't be complacent." Lin Feng nodded. "I'm not as good as you, Brother Bing." In the Blood Assassin's hands, more than half of their strength was cross-rank. On the road to becoming a 7 Blood Assassin, those who were not qualified would be eliminated sooner or later. Although Qi Bing was in the 9th level of Fetus Week, he had the strength of 3rd level of Fetus Week and was even stronger. "Do you know what you're lacking?" Qi Bing looked at Lin Feng. "Profound meaning?" Lin Feng's eyes flickered. Qi Bing nodded. "No matter how good the broadsword technique is, it needs to be integrated and supplemented by profound meaning. Your broadsword is very strong, but it lacks variety when you attack. In a battle where details are important, you will be at a disadvantage. Simply put, you don't have enough skills." Lin Feng nodded. He also knew that the mastery of profound meaning was the key to using Holy Qi. With stronger skills, he could make more changes in his attacks. For example, although Brother Bing's Frost Profound Meaning was only the true derivation Profound Meaning, it was fast to comprehend and easy to use. However, right now he was too short a time. He could only win with strength and speed of cultivation. "All right," Qi Bing shrugged. "This is just my personal suggestion. It's up to you." Lin Feng said, "I understand. Thank you for reminding me, Brother Bing." Qi Bing nodded. "By the way, I forgot to tell you that the blood mist has been changing frequently recently. It's probably a precursor to the appearance of blood red. Be careful." Blood red? Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Chapter 5:26. Blood red. Lin Feng had heard of it before. It was a unique phenomenon in the blood fog forest. The thick blood fog would cover the entire forest, making it impossible to see one's fingers. Even with a perfect body's perception, one could only sense a small area. After all, when the air was covered by the blood fog, one's aura detection would be greatly hindered. The motive for blood red's appearance was unknown. There was also no pattern to the time when they appeared. It might appear once every few years, or might not appear once in decades, or even millennia. Furthermore, the duration of each blood red was uncertain. It could last for 2 to 3 hours, or as long as 10 days to half a month. Of course, blood red itself wasn't dangerous. Instead, it was more beneficial. By increasing the blood fog's density, the effects of cultivation during this period were excellent. However, in the blood fog forest, it was a different matter. The demon beasts would become especially excited and bloodthirsty because of the appearance of blood red. Their offensive strength would greatly increase as if they had taken stimulants. At the same time, the warriors in the blood fog forest would have their perception greatly weakened. The weaker would-be assassins would find it difficult to sense anything more than 5 meters or 10 meters away. This was the true danger. Actually, it's not that scary. There's no need to panic. Qi Bing smiled and said, "Your strength isn't comparable to a rookie's. When the time comes, you just have to be careful and head up. If you're really not confident, send a signal firework to remind you of your location. When blood red arrives, the members of the organization will come to rescue you." Lin Feng nodded. Basically, with Zizhou's combat strength, he didn't have to worry too much about blood red. Many members of the organization are perverted. Qi Bing grinned and said, "Those 5 and 6-blooded assassins usually don't enter the blood fog forest, but when blood red arrives, all of them will rush in. Even 7-blooded assassins might appear." Why? Lin Feng was curious. A 6-blooded assassin meant that he had the strength of an upper-level Zizhou. A 7-blooded assassin's strength had already reached the level of a Nemean expert. To them, the blood fog forest was like their backyard. Even the strongest upper-level fierce god demon beast couldn't stop them. They say it's to sharpen their combat instincts, For they say that the higher the blood fog's density, the faster cultivation. Qi Bing curled her lips. In my opinion, it's all nonsense. Lin Feng smiled. The explanation was reasonable, but it seemed a little far-fetched. Therefore, if blood red really comes this time, I plan to take the risk. Let's dig into this secret. Qi Bing's eyes lit up with excitement. Ever since I joined the Blood Tower, I have never experienced the blood red lake. Lin Feng nodded. Be careful, Brother Bing. After all, Qi Bing was only at 9th stage of fetus week, even though her combat power was comparable to lower stage of fetus week. However, in the Blood Fog Forest, there were still many demonic beasts that were stronger than him. Don't worry, Qi Bing didn't care at all. I've survived a dangerous mission. What's there to be afraid of? But you, Qi Bing said earnestly, there's no need to take risks. Just go back to the camp and do what you're supposed to do. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. He could tell that Qi Bing was sincerely thinking for him. However, Lin Feng did not leave. The possible appearance of Xue Jiang made him give up on the idea of returning to the camp. Lin Feng was just about to return to the camp to retrieve the demonic beast inner cores and continue cultivating. After all, half a month had passed, and the amount of demonic beast cores he had harvested was probably enough to fill the wooden house. But now I can't miss it. Lin Feng was very interested in the Blood Red Lake. During the Blood Red Lake process, the density of the blood fog in the Blood Fog Forest would be more than 10 times higher than usual. In the thickest part of the blood fog, it could be tens or even hundreds of times higher. Other warriors could not cultivate in the Blood Fog Forest peacefully and absorb the Yin energy. But he was different. Little Yun. With Little Yun's Yin-terminating body, he could speed up his breakthrough. Now he was only 2 levels away. 3 days later. Roar! A furious fierce god, demonic beast flashed with golden light. Behind it, a roaring black gold giant bear could be vaguely seen. It had 2 horns on its head and lightning flashed all over. The fierce god demonic beast was not to be outdone. Every time it waved its huge bear-like claws, thunder would ring. When it stepped on the ground, electric currents would constantly jump out from the ground. Bang! Bang! Lin Feng held the 9 secret thunderblade. Once again, he was repelled. With a pale face, Lin Feng smiled bitterly as he looked at the fierce god demonic beast in front of him who had already awakened its bloodline. I still can't beat it. Lin Feng was also helpless. Even though his battle strength was now comparable to the 9th stage of the fetus week, and if he used all his strength, he could even compete with an expert of the 1st stage of the fetus week. However, the fierce god demonic beast in front of him was far stronger than a human expert of the same level. Its tyrannical bloodline was even stronger than a human's bloodline. Fighting, he was no match for it. Escaping, it was even more dangerous. But Lin Feng did not have any plans to escape. In an instant, the golden dragon roared, and the 9 beads were like 9 flying knives, directly piercing through the black gold-haired fierce god demonic beast. Bang! The fierce god demonic beast fell to the ground with a loud bang, unable to even let out a scream. His eyes were wide open. This fierce god demonic beast that had already awakened its bloodline didn't even know how it died. Dragon Abyssal Pearl, Lin Feng's strongest killing move. 6th stage True Dragon Saint Force. Lin Feng took out the 9 Dragon Pearl necklace. His strongest trump card was able to easily kill a 9th stage expert of the fetus week on that day. It could even shatter A.O. Lin's armor. Every single one of them was a heaven-ranked treasure. Unfortunately, the Dragon Pearl is still limited by my strength. Lin Feng was very clear. The innate spirit determined the amount of output at the same time. The True Dragon Saint Force determined the power of the attack. The 10 scrolls of flying knives were equivalent to a blade technique. When my strength increases to the fetus week, I will properly cultivate the offensive methods of the innate spirit. Lin Feng put the Dragon Pearl necklace back on his neck, and an invisible energy instantly wrapped around him, making him invisible again. Being able to attack and defend, the Dragon Pearl necklace was the reason why he could roam the Blood Fog Forest without any worries. Whiz! Lin Feng traveled deep into the blood fog forest. The other blood assassins might not be able to determine if Shui Jiang would appear, but he was very confident. Can you sense it clearly, Xiao Yun? Lin Feng asked. Yes, young master, Xiao Yun replied. The ups and downs of the past few days should be the last change. In these 2 days, the blood fog's density did not increase, but decreased. When it reaches its limit, it will rush out crazily. If I'm not wrong, Shui Jiang should arrive within 10 hours. Lin Feng nodded. He had 100% confidence in Xiao Yun's judgment. Demonic beasts were originally closer to nature than humans, and Xiao Yun was born with an absolute body. Even Yan Mo was far from her ability to sense the blood fog. If she said within 10 hours, then it would definitely be within this period of time. These days, because of Xiao Yun's judgment, he had already gone deep into the blood fog forest, patiently waiting for Shui Jiang's arrival. 8 hours later, rumble, rumble. The earth trembled violently, as if a volcano had erupted. The signs of the earth shaking appeared, and the excited roars of the demonic beasts resounded throughout the blood fog forest. Lin Feng's mouth drew a smile, and Xiao Yun's voice sounded in his heart, explaining the appearance of this phenomenon. Finally, it's here. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Chapter 5:27. On the 6th floor of Blood Tower 30. Blood Shadow, the kid you recommended, is very powerful. Warhawk sat on the ground and said casually, the guide asked me to take care of him, but, hey, I went to the newcomers' camp to take a look. Guess what? Blood Shadow sneered. If those trainees wanted to intimidate him, then they should consider themselves unlucky. Warhawk was surprised. You also went to the newcomers' camp? I guessed. Blood Shadow's voice was cold. Warhawk was stunned. I forgot that you came out of the newcomers' camp less than a year ago. Warhawk looked at Blood Shadow with burning eyes. Speaking of which, you were really ruthless. A total of 38 trainees were all crippled by you. I heard that they were just mocking you. Bang. Blood Shadow's eyes were filled with killing intent. Hey. Warhawk smiled awkwardly and changed the topic. This Lin Feng is now a famous person in the newcomers' camp. His reputation is even greater than yours. I heard that he sold A.O. Lin's 3-colored phantom sword in one go. TSK, 300 billion. I'm so envious. Even I didn't earn as much as him. Blood Shadow was very calm. His eyes were a little blurred. He has always been very outstanding. Blood Shadow's voice seemed to be lonely. Always. Warhawk was slightly puzzled and suddenly nodded. I forgot that he comes from the same race as you, the Chinese, right? Speaking of which, I've never heard of this race in the 33 continents. With such a strong bloodline, there's no reason for it to be unknown. Warhawk searched his memory while muttering to himself. Even though Blood Shadow's face was covered, the slight changes in his eyes could still be seen, and they shone brightly. Suddenly, buzz. It was like a cicada flapping its wings. The top of the cicada vibrated gently with a unique rhythm. In an instant, Warhawk and Blood Shadow came back to their senses. They raised their heads and looked at each other with a hint of desire in their eyes. Boss's signal. Warhawk moved his neck. There was a bone-cracking sound. Blood Red is really here. Blood Shadow's eyes were bloodshot. Warhawk smiled. You are so lucky. I have been in the Blood Tower for more than 10 years, and this is the first time I have met Shui Jiang. You have only been here for a year, and you have already met him. Blood Shadow said, when you joined the Bloody Tower for a year, you could only stare at Shui Jiang helplessly. Warhawk bitterly smiled. How can you hit people like this? Tell me the truth. Blood Shadow's voice suddenly fell. Whoosh! A human figure. He disappeared like a ghost. You bastard, how dare you sneak away? Warhawk laughed and chased after him. Whoosh! 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 Black-robed figures dashed out of the Blood Towers one after another. The weakest of them was a 5-blood assassin, and there were even a few 7-blood assassins. Without exception, they all pointed at the blood fog forest. The 33 Blood Towers corresponded to the 33 continents. Basically, the members of the same Blood Tower would have a closer relationship and cooperate to carry out more missions. For example, Shui-Ing, and Warhawk. The boss they spoke of was the strongest blood assassin of the Blood Tower. It was either a 7-blood assassin or an 8-blood assassin. Of course, in the 33 blood towers, there were also 3 strongest 9-blood assassins. Blood beads, first come, first served. Bloody Tower has just started. It's still early to condense blood beads. The Saint beads haven't even condensed yet. No matter what, let's go and occupy a favorable terrain first. Saint beads, blood beads. Bloody Tower was considered a half-secret in the Bloody Tower. Only 5 blood assassins and above knew the secret of Bloody Tower. After all, it was too dangerous to enter the Blood Fog Forest. Even if a 5-blood assassin entered the Blood Fog Forest, it might not be 100% safe. If a 3-blood assassin or a 4-blood assassin entered the depths of the Blood Fog Forest and encountered crazy and excited demon beasts, the death rate would be quite high. Therefore, 4 blood assassins like Qibing. Therefore, they did not know the secret of Bloody Tower. Naturally, this included Lin Feng. What's this? Lin Feng grabbed a blood-colored bead in surprise. It looked like a medicinal pill. It's a bit like a Saint Crystal. No, it's different. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The energy of the Saint Crystal is artificially instilled into it. It is the energy of the Saint Qi that has been converted into energy. Because of this, absorbing the energy of the Saint Crystal would not increase the level of the soul of the earth. The energy of the blood bead is pure energy. It's like the Saint Fruit. No, it's even purer than the Saint Fruit. Lin Feng was shocked. The small blood-colored bead in his hand contained an astonishing amount of blood energy of the true Yin Holy Qi. The air contained all kinds of elements that were almost invisible to the naked eye. When all kinds of elements were put together, just like the blood energy of the true Yin Holy Qi, it was only an extremely fine element. Cultivation was the process of gathering and absorbing these extremely fine elements. Too shocking. Lin Feng was secretly surprised. The amount of blood elements contained in this small blood-colored bead was quite terrifying. If it was a warrior who cultivated the true Yin blood Holy Qi, he would definitely flock to it. Lin Feng glanced at the Dragon Sea Bead necklace. He knew this the best. What the Dragon Sea Bead absorbed was the extremely pure, true Dragon Holy Qi. Unlike the Saint Qi in the Saint Crystal that needed to be converted, this pure energy did not need to be converted. It could be absorbed quickly and simply. With the first bead, there would naturally be a second and a third. So this is the secret that Brother Bing was talking about. Lin Feng was completely relieved at this time. He quickly grabbed the various beads floating in the air. It was not just the blood bead. True Yin Holy Qi, the energy of fog. Lin Feng grabbed a transparent and turbid bead. Clouds and fog swirled within it. It was very beautiful. Throwing the fog bead into the storage ring, Lin Feng continued to search for the next bead. He was quite busy. Young master, there is a mid-tier fierce god demon beast approaching 15 degrees to the north. Xiao Yun's voice sounded. Lin Feng grabbed another blood bead and disappeared. In terms of sensing ability, Xiao Yun, who was in the transformation stage, was completely superior to the fierce god demon beast. Lin Feng did not want to fight because there was no need. Right now, business was more important. It has been more than an hour since Blood Red appeared. I believe the other blood assassins will arrive soon. Lin Feng was clear that no one was fighting with him right now, or there were not many people fighting because it was just the beginning. After all, the Blood Fog Forest was quite large. However, with the influx of blood assassins, the competition would become more and more intense. Therefore, he could take as much as he could. No wonder it's called the Blood Fog Forest. Lin Feng grabbed another mist bead and smiled. He completely understood in his heart. The Blood Fog Forest was filled with a dense blood fog all year round. The blood element and fog element were already quite dense. The arrival of Blood Red directly caused the blood fog element to increase explosively. Like a magnet, the same elements condensed and gathered into blood beads and fog beads, as well as Yin bead. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The third type of bead. Chapter 528. There is indeed a Yin pearl. Lin Feng was not surprised. Xiao Yun had already mentioned that there was pure yin energy in the blood mist. After all, the blood energy and mist energy were only true yin holy qi, while the yin energy was heaven and earth holy qi. However, it was either rare or not easy to condense. In terms of quantity, the yin pearls were far less than the blood pearls and mist pearls. Until now, he had only seen the first one. But, in terms of value, one pearl is worth 100. Lin Feng nodded secretly. There was still a layer of 5 elements holy qi between true yin holy qi and heaven and earth holy qi. The gap was not small. Continue. Lin Feng did not have time to study. Xiao Yun's voice sounded in his heart. He avoided it and went to another area. Blood mist forest. It condensed so fast. Yes, it condensed much faster than last time. How can this be? Didn't they say it would take at least 6 hours to condense the holy pearl and 2 to 3 days to condense the blood pearl? It was the first time for most blood assassins to experience blood red. For example, Blood Shadow and War Eagle. After all, the last blood red was 23 years ago. It had a long history. The 5 blood assassins and 6 blood assassins of that era had either advanced to 7 blood assassins and entered the Nirvana world or died while carrying out missions. There were not many left who could survive until now. They did not know much about blood red. After waiting for 23 years, it's finally here. Li Shuifeng held a flexible sword that was like a spirit snake. An upper-level demon beast in front of him leaped into the air and roared. Flames lit up the sky. Li Shuifeng's sword danced like a water dragon, flying between the waterfalls. His light figure struck, and his speed did not change. He passed by in a flash. Roar! The single-horned demon beast let out a shrill roar. The moment Li Shuifeng left, its body exploded. Ha! It's been 3 years. Brother Li's Xiaoxiang triple sword has reached a new level. If Xiao Tsong, the sect master of the Xiaoxiang sword sect, saw this, he would be embarrassed. Behind him, a bearded man caught up with him. His steps carried a heavy pressure like a hill. He had a candid personality. Brother whose speed has also improved greatly. Li Shuifeng glanced at the curly-bearded man, and his gaze fell on the latter's feet. Low-grade heaven rank, heavy earth stream treading boots? The curly-bearded man, Hu Kaishan, laughed out loud. If I didn't do that, how could I have caught up to you? Interesting. Li Shuifeng smiled. In front of him, another 2 fierce god demonic beasts roared as they charged over. Hu Kaishan's eyes widened. With a deep shout, the huge axe in his hand split open the mountain and stone. In the void, a towering mountain fell with a rumble. It was truly like Mount Tai pressing down, domineering and awe-inspiring. Pung! Pung! The 2 fierce god demonic beasts were directly chopped into meat paste. In front of the 7 blood assassins, who had the strength of Nya Emo, these ferocious demon beasts that roamed the blood fog forest were nothing. Who else is ahead? Hu Kaishan asked without slowing down. Boss Qian Luo, Li Shuifeng said. Hu Kaishan was startled. This kid 100 steps only has 6 bloodlines. Li Shuifeng smiled faintly. His battle prowess is a little lacking, but he walks the path of light and the path of wind. Even Elder Qian Luo is slightly inferior to him. Hu Kaishan nodded. From the looks of it, they're the biggest competitors for the blood bead. Li Shuifeng shook his head. No, there's still the 7 blood mad bull behind us. In terms of speed, he's the weakest among the 7 blood assassins. However, his battle prowess isn't weaker than yours or mine. When this fellow goes crazy, he won't care if he can obtain the blood bead or not. It'll be troublesome if he targets you. Hu Kaishan smiled bitterly. He knew of the Mad Bull's reputation. The newly advanced 6 bloodlines are also very strong. For example, Blood Shadow under Mad Bull Tower, Li Shuifeng said seriously. They're sacred power cultivators who have awakened their bloodline powers. They're also a threat. Blowing snow, a sword, a snowstorm. Perfect. Hu Kaishan sighed as he sped. The new generation surpasses the old. Truly, the old generation dies on the beach. No matter what, after this blood red, regardless of whether I can attain a perfect body, I will apply to enter the Nirvana world and leave this place. Li Shuifeng nodded. Me too. I've waited 23 years for this day. I wonder if it's worth it. The two sighed softly as their eyes lit up. This was their final madness. Blood bead, mist bead, bead. Lin Feng harvested the spoils of war wantonly. With Little Yun's help, he could predict the future and avoid the fiendish god-demon beasts. From time to time, the excited roars of the fiendish god-demon beasts resounded through the clouds filled with blood mist. The sounds of battle and slaughter were getting closer and closer. Based on the camp, the powerful 7 bloodline assassins should have arrived. Perhaps they're already elsewhere. Lin Feng didn't care. If there were more people, he would snatch them together. Although the efficiency might be much slower when the time came, he had already made a fortune in the past few hours. He had obtained more than 1,000 blood beads and mist beads. He had even obtained 13 rare beads. It could be said that he had made a profit. In terms of price, each blood bead and mist bead is about 1 million Emo dollars. Bead is about 100 million Emo dollars. Lin Feng thought. After participating in the auction, he already had a basic understanding of the prices in the 33 continents. On Earth, he was the business leader of the Elemental Business Alliance. Prices and numbers were his forte. It was precisely because of this that Lin Feng was filled with doubts. Something's not right. I've only gotten 4 billion Nemo dollars by myself. When the blood assassins gather, the energy of the blood mist might still increase, and the number of beads will continue to increase. However, it's already quite difficult to get 1/10 of what I'm getting now. Lin Feng nodded. At the very most, he could earn 400 million Nemo dollars a day. That was 1 billion a month. Ordinary mid-level overlords can earn 400 or 500 million Nemo dollars a month. Upper-level overlords can earn at least 1 or 2 billion a month. If it's blood assassins, it'll be even more. Lin Feng knew very well. A 6-blood mission would start at 1 billion Nemo dollars. A 7-blood mission would start at 10 billion Nemo dollars. Blood red is indeed a good opportunity for 5-blood assassins to make money, but it's not essential for 6-blood assassins. As for 7-blood assassins, Lin Feng shook his head. It's not only useless, but also unnecessary. There should be some secrets I don't know. Lin Feng was confused, but since he couldn't get any results, there was no need to think too much. Anyway, for him, no matter what, this was a profit. Even if he couldn't get the blood mist bead or bead, he could absorb a lot of the blood mist energy every moment to improve the soul of the earth. So fast. It's only been a few hours, and I've already completed 10% of the 8th level of Qi Cloud. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. It took him more than half a month to go from the 6th level of Qi Cloud to the 8th level. At the current speed, it would take him at most 2 days. He could reach the 9th level of Qi Cloud. In his joy, Lin Feng's gaze fell into the distance, but he was suddenly startled. Chapter 529. It was a blood-colored bead. Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and he was slightly startled. The blood-colored bead, emitting a faint glow, was suspended in the air. It was not a blood bead, but twice the size of a blood bead. In the middle of this blood-colored bead, there was a clear drop of blood. It looked like a real drop of blood. Suddenly, someone is coming. Xiao Yun's anxious voice rang in his mind. Lin Feng instantly came back to his senses. His figure flashed, and he directly grabbed the blood-colored bead in his hand. At this moment, a bright aurora whizzed past with a strong wind. "Pa!" Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. He was blown back a few steps by the strong wind. It was a handsome young man in white. His hair was combed back and tied into a braid. His eyes were like torches as he looked over with a hint of feminine killing intent. "Who are you?" Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the young man in white with vigilance. His intuition told him that this person was not a kind person. The young man in white frowned slightly. "Never heard of you. Which blood tower are you from?" "I haven't joined yet," Lin Feng answered. The young man in white was obviously startled. He could not figure out Lin Feng's background. He was not a perfect body and could not detect Lin Feng's strength level. In the land of blood fog, only the newcomers' camp had not joined the blood tower. But a newcomer in the Qi Cloud stage came here? Was it possible? There were fierce god, demonic beasts everywhere. Even third and fourth blood assassins were in great danger. Lin Feng also looked at the young man in white. There was one thing he was absolutely sure of. The blood bead he just obtained was not the same as the previous 3 types of beads. With its uniqueness and rarity, as well as the importance of the young man in white, this new blood bead was very valuable. The young man in white was an upper-level Zizhou expert. He was at least a 6th blood assassin. Although the Blood Tower had a rule that members were not allowed to kill each other, the rule was dead while people were alive. There was also a rule in East Spirit City that forbade killing. But there were people being killed in East Spirit City every moment, and he was still alive and well. The so-called forbidden rules were meant to be broken. The key was whether it was worth it or not. Swoosh! The true dragon's Saint power condensed, and Lin Feng was ready to attack. Based on what he knew, even though Blood Shadow did not start a massacre in the rookie camp that day, he had crippled a total of 38 reserve assassins. The white-clothed youth in front of him also felt the viciousness and insidiousness hidden in his bones. He would do anything to achieve his goal. Whoosh! Another aura descended. This time, Lin Feng's expression truly changed. The newcomer had a rather heavy pressure and aura. His strength was at least 2 levels higher than the white-clothed youth's. His hair was messy, and he wore blood-colored armor. His face was resolute, and he gave off a dignified aura. Blood bead, who got it? The voice of the blood-red man was deep and deep. He glanced at the white-clothed young man before his gaze finally landed on Lin Feng. He raised his thick eyebrows slightly, obviously not recognizing Lin Feng. You are... Lin Feng did not join the Blood Tower. He got the blood bead. The white-clothed youth, Qiu Baibu, spoke first. Boss Qian Luo, do you recognize him? Qian Luo thought for a moment before his eyes lit up. 300 billion newbies? Newbie. Qiu Baibu's expression stiffened. Lin Feng nodded. Since he cannot hide it, he might as well be honest. Yes. Reserve Assassin Lin Feng greets Senior Qian Luo. Lin Feng bowed. Qian Luo was surprised. How did you get in? Coincidentally, I was curious about the blood-red forest. I was curious, so I came in. Lin Feng did not explain too much as he spoke directly. His answer did not need to be too detailed. He just needed to tell the truth. Impossible. Qiu Baibu's expression changed. You're a newbie. How could you enter so deep into the blood-red forest? Qian Luo's eyes were bright. Did you encounter any fierce god demonic beasts? I did. Lin Feng nodded. Qiu Baibu stared at Lin Feng. Qian Luo's curiosity was lifted as he nodded. Are you selling the blood beads? Lin Feng was startled. Taking out a bead that contained the energy of the true evolution blood, Lin Feng asked this. Qian Luo shook his head. This is a saint bead. There are 3 types in total. The one in your hand is a pure blood saint bead. It is different from the blood beads I mentioned. Lucky bastard. Qiu Baibu curled his lips. In his opinion, Lin Feng did not even know what a blood bead was, and he had already gotten one. Furthermore, he was a newbie. What else could it be but lucky bastard? Lin Feng nodded. He took out the blood bead and placed it on his hand. Is it this blood bead? Whoosh! Qiu Baibu and Qian Luo's eyes lit up. Yes. Qian Luo's gaze focused as he looked over. This is the real blood-red bead. You can take it to the exchange counter and exchange it for 300 million bloodlight points each. Qiu Baibu's expression changed as he pouted unwillingly, silently criticizing Qian Luo's honesty. 300 million bloodlight points. Lin Feng was truly shocked. The exchange rate between bloodlight points and Nemo coins was 1,001. Did this mean that this blood-red bead was worth 300 billion Nemo coins? Another mid-grade heaven-rank tricolor phantom sword. Although there was a limit to the exchange rate of bloodlight points for Nemo coins, this blood-red bead's value could be seen. A small bead was comparable to a mid-grade heaven-class saint treasure. Although he had a high evaluation of it, he did not expect it to be this high. If you want to sell it, I am willing to buy it for 300 billion Nemo coins. Qian Luo's gaze deepened. A 10% higher price. Lin Feng gave a soft, "Oh," and looked at Qian Luo. Not everyone is like me. Qian Luo glanced at Xiao Baibu. Indeed, if you can bring this blood-red bead back to the Blood Mist land, you may be able to sell it for a higher price. However, I think you're aware of the risks involved. Treasures arouse the envy of others. I won't take advantage of you. 300 billion Nemo coins won't be too much of a loss for you. Moreover, under my protection, you can safely return to the Blood Mist land. Qian Luo's voice fell. Xiao Baibu's expression was extremely ugly. Lin Feng looked at the blood-red bead in his hand and hesitated slightly before nodding. I'm willing to sell, but I have two conditions. Qian Luo's eyes lit up. Speak. First, please tell me everything you know about the blood-red bead. Second, for the time being, I don't want to return to the Blood Mist land. However, I still hope to borrow your name to protect me. Lin Feng looked straight at Qian Luo. He was very clear about the current situation. Qian Luo was right. Treasures arouse the envy of others. Just this young man in white beside him was already eyeing him covetously. His strength was at the bottom of all the blood hangers who entered the Blood Mist forest. There was no need for him to fall into eternal damnation for a blood-red bead. Selling the blood-red bead would not be a loss for him. Moreover, he might not be able to use the blood-red bead. Even if he did, he might be able to obtain a second or third one. You're quite ambitious. Qian Luo smiled faintly. The first condition is not a problem. However, I cannot agree to the second condition. To be continued. Chapter 530. Lin Feng didn't understand. Qian Luo shook his head. It's not that I don't want to agree, but I can't. If you're willing to return to the camp, it's easy for a few hours, but the blood-red forest will take at least a few days, and at most dozens of days. I can't take you with me, and you can't follow me. How can I protect you? Senior, you've misunderstood. Lin Feng smiled. Oh, Lin Feng said slowly, I only need Senior to make a promise to the outside world to inform the other 6 blood and 7 blood killers. The most troublesome thing for him now was that he hadn't joined any blood tower. His identity as a newcomer was the biggest obstacle, because he had no backing. In the blood-red forest, every blood tower was a small force, and that was what the young man in white asked. If he had Qian Luo as his backing, he might not be completely safe, but at least it would be much better than being a newcomer. If that's all, no problem. Qian Luo pondered for a moment, then took out a blood-red crystal and threw it over. Lin Feng took it. Drive it with holy qi, and it will automatically integrate into the armor. Qian Luo looked at Lin Feng. This is the symbol of Blood Tower number 3. I believe most of the members will give me some face. However, people die for money, and birds die for food. It's not omnipotent, so you have to think about it carefully. Of course, in the blood-red forest, I will treat you as one of my own. If you're in danger, not only me, but all the members of Blood Tower number 3 will save you. But Qian Luo breathed a sigh of relief and didn't continue. I won't force you. You make your own decision. Lin Feng understood. Qian Luo meant that he was still too weak. In the ever-changing blood-red forest, he still had to rely on himself when he was in danger. If he waited for others to save him, he would probably be dead. However, Lin Feng wasn't worried. Nice trade, Senior Qian Luo. Lin Feng threw the blood-red bead over. Xiao Baibu stared blankly. But Lin Feng might dare to snatch it, but Qian Luo in front of him. He wouldn't dare to move, even if he had 1,000 times the courage. Ha! Lin Feng pressed the crimson-patterned crystal into the armor. A blood-red light flashed, and a faint blood-red mark appeared, as well as the number 3. It represented Blood Tower number 3. All right, Qian Luo smiled and accepted the blood-red pearl. Shall I pay now? Leave it with Senior first. Lin Feng trusted Qian Luo. There was no point in having so many Nemo coins on him. It would only attract unwanted attention. Qian Luo nodded. His gaze fell on Lin Feng with some admiration and satisfaction. On the other side, Xiao Baibu's feminine eyes looked over. He was furious. However, he had no choice but to leave. The blood bead has 3 uses. First of all, the most important thing is to increase the concentration of the bloodline. Its effect is even better than a humanoid fruit in the Nirvana world. Qian Luo said slowly, fulfilling his promise. He was telling him everything he knew about Shuejiang. Lin Feng nodded. Planet Nemo's so-called bloodline density referred to the breadth of Earth's brain, or in other words, the innate soul, the soul of the Earth. The third was the innate soul of wisdom. On planet Nemo, there was a limit of 30. If one didn't reach the perfect body at 30, it would be difficult to reach the perfect body through normal means. In the 33 continents, holy fruits that could increase bloodline density were extremely rare. Therefore, many martial artists who reached the limit but didn't reach the perfect body would enter the nirvana world. The humanoid fruit was the most common and famous holy fruit in the nirvana world. It increased bloodline density. No wonder it's so expensive. Lin Feng understood. In the previous auction, the anthropoid fruit, which was the finale of the auction, was sold for a whopping 108 billion Nemo coins. Qian Luo said so. The blood red pearl is very important to members with weaker bloodlines. Blood Tower also set a rule that members with perfect bodies with 5 blood and above are not allowed to enter the blood mist forest. It's for profit. Lin Feng nodded. Members with 5 blood and below basically didn't know about the existence of Shuejiang. Moreover, members with 5 blood and below weren't strong enough to survive in the blood mist forest where demon god beasts roamed. You're special, Qian Luo continued. The second effect of the blood red pearl is to awaken the hidden bloodline power in the body. If it's already awakened, it can make the bloodline power stronger. Lin Feng was surprised. Bloodline power can become stronger? Qian Luo smiled. Of course. Even demon god beasts can become stronger, let alone us humans. In our bodies, there's also the terrifying power of ancient gods. A newly awakened bloodline power is less than 1/10,000th, let alone 1/10,000th. Every human has it. Lin Feng asked again. Qian Luo glanced at Lin Feng. You don't? Lin Feng shook his head. Qian Luo frowned slightly. Perfect bodies have a 100% chance of awakening bloodline power. I've never heard of a perfect body without bloodline power. Maybe. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. In fact, he didn't know. First, his body was stronger than the humans on planet Nemo. Second, he didn't know if the true dragon holy power was considered bloodline power. Third, he wasn't sure if the third generation of humans had bloodline power. Definitely, Qian Luo said firmly. But I heard that some ancient bloodline powers are too strong and have been sleeping in the body. They can sense it, but can't use it. Only when the body and strength reach a certain level will the bloodline power truly awaken. Lin Feng nodded. Now that he thought about it, the true dragon holy power might really be his bloodline power. Chinese martial artists were known as the descendants of the dragon. He could become his master's disciple because of the awakening of the true dragon holy power. Third, after consuming the blood orb, it will increase the ability to sense elemental energy, blood elemental energy, and mist elemental energy. Qian Luo explained, simply put, it's faster to cultivate, easier to comprehend mysteries, and easier to control in battle. I see. Lin Feng understood. It was the same type as the lightning tribulation that increased the ability to sense lightning. No wonder it's worth 300 billion Nemo dollars. Lin Feng finally understood why Qian Luo was willing to pay 10% more for it. 300 billion Nemo dollars was just the exchange price. The exchange rate for the Blood Mist land was quite low. In other words, the real price of a blood orb was 600 billion Nemo dollars. Regretting it? Qian Luo smiled. No, the blood orb is of little help to me. Lin Feng said honestly. Of the 3 functions of the blood beads, the first and third ones were useless to him. Only the second one was a big question mark, and he didn't know if it would be effective. Qian Luo nodded. Greed is not good. Do you know how dangerous it was? I know. Lin Feng thought of the young man in white. His name is Qiu Baibu. He's cunning and ruthless. Be careful. Qian Luo's eyes narrowed. Although with your strength, you won't be able to get the second blood orb unless you're extremely lucky. But if you're really that lucky, remember to look for our people if you're seen. Got it? Lin Feng's eyes were filled with respect. Thank you, Senior. Then I wish you all good luck. Qian Luo laughed and disappeared. Chiu Bai Bu, Lin Feng murmured.